Crossover.
Oh, killer crossover.
Just crossover. It just crossed him over nastily.
Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
Time for the crossover, powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. Good afternoon or morning, gentlemen.
Morning. How are you?
Good. Excellent.
You didn't say the Connor Happer show once today.
No, I didn't, and I'm proud of myself for
Good
it.
job.
You did think it was a Friday inadvertently for some reason.
Every day,
It's not.
every day we're just getting a little bit more. We're doing a show a little bit more. Do you feel the same way?
No, I don't.
What do you feel like?
I feel great.
Oh, you felt great every day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Last week was a hard week for me. I did not like
I'm
how
be
it
honest
went.
with you. I've been having a phenomenal time. You know, we're building
Awesome.
we're building a show, like we're getting our benchmarks and we're finding. But I thought yesterday, like, I don't know, I'm just a little looser. Like I'm a little goosier. Like I'm a little.
That's
I'm
good.
I'm
You should be.
out,
You got
know?
so many things to say.
I know. So this has been the challenge has not been filling 4 hours because the challenge has kind of been like Josh and I hanging out.
That is the
You know,
least surprising thing I've ever heard.
but
The challenge has been deciding what you want to talk about.
yeah, but no,
Which topics never see the light of day.
yeah, that
My thing at first when doing your show was I had to find a way to extrapolate what I had to say into a 20-minute segment. Your thing is to somehow condense it
yes,
into a 20-minute segment.
yes.
It's
While
amazing.
Also remembering to breathe.
Yeah, that there's a lot of that. There's also just I sometimes I catch myself reading off the piece of paper a little bit too much, and like I'm not.
You're
Is that-
monologuing?
Is that
A
your
little bit.
only show prep, by the way? Just that pad?
What do
No,
you
I'm
mean?
not. I'm saying, like, do you use any digital show prep?
No, not anymore.
How is this adjustment for Josh?
I mean, it's still the same thing. I just let him do whatever he wants, and
Well, no, wait.
That's true.
just like you.
Wait,
like,
wait.
yeah, okay, talk about it. I don't care.
Here's the thing. I said
I mean, I wasn't asking for permission.
I sent Josh a text, and I give
That's
him
good.
and I give him the high points
During Josh time?
What? Yesterday was like 9:00, 9:30. I sent you something, and then I will,
Pre-Josh time.
and then I will walk into the producer's office, and I will be like, "Here are the interviews that we're having again at this point. Like we just have our lineup, and then these are like I'm going to start with this, and the odd news is I didn't tell you odd news at 12:40 today,
Hey, great.
and then or no, let's do it at 1:00. Odd news at 1:00.
Whatever.
Why are you changing up the odd news?
Because we have Verghese at 12:30.
Geese.
So
What about 11:45?
no, we have Severe from 11:30 to whenever the hell he wants to stop talking.
Love it. Love it.
But yeah, I mean, it's just we have a flow.
Now, does Michael know that
Michael knows.
Okay.
Michael's aware.
Last week I was listening to Michael and he was like, "Oh, I'm a weekly guest. That's weird."
I went back to the text. I told him he was a weekly guest.
Okay.
He was made very well aware of the fact that he's coming out every week. But yeah, no, I'm doing great. I enjoy doing your former show. I really do.
It's great.
It's fun. I love getting sleep. If I'm being real. Yeah, I think you guys though are doing great. I think I really do.
We're doing great.
We're doing great.
I think you're doing great. So why are you laughing at that?
That just sounded, I don't know, it just sounded a little forced. I think you guys are
Little
doing
empty
great.
behind the
No,
curtain.
I don't think it was empty at all. I
No
think it was.
specifics were given.
I think you guys are doing great.
No, I've listened to about 4 segments of the Happer and Schaefer show.
Oh
and
no,
I've-
which
and
ones?
Your very first segment.
Nope, don't listen to that segment. That's bad.
That's
It's
what
like-
happened last week. Happer wants to burn and never think
I would
about
like to leave last week off of the record. Yes.
it. I was worried there wasn't going to be a second week when I checked in on Friday night.
Really?
And the part of it was Creighton was losing to Providence at the time. So
I
I
was
think
not happy.
there was like a combo of sadness there.
Sure.
But
Sure.
I was a little concerned.
Yeah, there are gonna be those days, guys, in the morning show when you wake up and you're a little grumpy.
No, there's not going to be. We're going to
Yeah.
be fine. We're
Oh, it wasn't
yeah.
that.
It was just the
Okay.
whole first week thing and
I like
everything.
Darren Rovell's
Happer doesn't like
WTF
living in
tweet.
an incomplete show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
We had an
I'm-
empty, soulless show, and
Yeah.
now we have Darren Rovell's WTF tweet of the day. We have
Good
bits.
bit.
and we still touchdown. Wow.
Our one bit that we're doing that was half forced and half natural at this point. It's a little bit of both. The bitching hour.
Like the witching hour.
Yeah, 11 a.m. because I just caught myself like complaining a lot in the 11 o'clock hour. And so I was like, you know what? 11 o'clock, that's when we bitch, moan, and complain. And then after that, we're done.
So that's the hour where it's at its apex?
It's at the bitching hour is at 11 a.m.
What happens after that?
We just try and keep it to a minimum.
That's a minimum?
But in
Okay, so at noon, like there will still be some complaining, but just less.
it will be like, but like at 11 a.m. it'll be just no one's listening anyway. I'm just gonna complain.
That's not true.
I'm kidding.
That's not true.
But you know, if people want it 11 o'clock, if you have complaints and you just want to bitch and moan, you can call in, get it out.
Is this like the hour of hate?
A little bit, yeah. But it's every day,
A very popular.
every single day.
Oh, we had this discussion. Do you want to do the draft?
Yeah. Can someone steal that?
You were looking for bits.
If they're not gonna do it, someone
What's the
should
draft?
do it.
They hate the draft.
What's the draft?
I love the draft.
But
As a person who's never actually done the draft, I liked listening to the draft because it was a disaster.
what is the draft?
So the draft is where you have a topic.
Okay.
What's
For instance, your topic could be candy.
Okay.
And
draft your favorite candy, and then everyone calls in and says their favorite candy, and
but
it's
they
a
can't
draft.
take one that's already off.
I
the
love
board.
that. I literally yes.
Maybe you should do the draft.
The draft
Okay.
has been dead for several years. You could revive the draft.
Yeah,
And
but
the draft being dead was almost in a bit in and of itself.
But can I draft like 2010s MLB outfielders? Like, or does it have
Yeah.
to be
Sure.
less niche?
It's
No, you could
whatever
do
the
anything.
Topic
Yeah.
is you
Yeah.
need
You could draft buttons.
you want
Like
people to call in and draft
supporting actors in Meryl Streep movies.
Sure, I don't know
You
if there
know?
would be enough.
Yeah.
Like
There's a lot of supporting actors in Meryl Streep movies.
you're gonna
Tom-
need probably like 30. I
Tom
mean,
Hanks in The Post would be up there. Stanley Tucci in The Devil Wears Prada would be
Okay.
up there.
yeah, there you go. You could do it.
Timothy Chalamet in Little
Just-
Women would be
just-
up there.
some feedback for someone who's been involved in the draft process.
Sure.
You want to make sure that this is a topic that people are calling in on
Okay.
as they are the ones drafting.
Okay. So
Unless
so,
you want to do a text draft,
So no
Text draft is
Streep
interesting.
drafts.
it doesn't seem like it's gonna,
YouTube comment
Oh.
draft.
YouTube comment draft. Log.
Actually-
I gotta write that note today. Log into the text line.
you should pick a number, and then every time you get to that number, it's someone from the text line or the YouTube, so you get them involved.
We can do the
too.
draft. We can do the draft. We do have our first bit segment tomorrow. Wacky Guest Wednesday is officially.
Oh yeah, this is the
tomorrow.
one where you don't know what guest it is.
So for those who we'll just announce it. So every single Wednesday, Josh is going to book a guest, and I'm gonna have no idea who they are
Love it.
until they come onto the show.
you got somebody?
And
Like, is it a situation
couple
you
of
don't
targets we're
actually
trying to
know
nail
who it
down.
is?
so
Like, you wouldn't have any
Josh-
idea who the person is.
Josh and I have discussed like it would have to be like he's got to use his better judgment to understand like I would know who this person is or I would be.
Oh yeah, he's got a good feel.
Yeah.
So
It's like
if
it could be
Olympics, the Olympics are going on, and he brought on an expert for figure skating.
sure.
Is that game?
Well,
is that fair game?
I mean, I think that with Josh and maybe this is a discussion we have to have in case that I have no idea who this person is and I have to like out of respect, Josh might have to be ready with a question or two to stall.
What if he brought
in order
on
for me to know?
1990s, 2000s reliever John Franco?
You know what? I would have Josh, do the first question, and then I would be like, all right, and then I would look.
frantic Google.
Yeah, well, I think this.
I'm
is,
worried about your
this is-
depth of knowledge.
This is the bit though. Like it would be a frantic Google, and I would learn about John Franco. What if you brought on former reliever Brian Dunsing though? I'd be like, Brian, how you doing?
Okay,
Former Husker.
Royal?
former definitely a Royal at a point.
a twin.
I was a storm chaser. Yes,
Yeah.
Pretty sure
Former-
he was a
former
Oriole
Cub. He
at
was a-
one point in
He was a
time.
Cub.
former Husker.
Former Husker.
Well, yeah, I knew that.
People forget about the 2005 College World Series.
People do forget.
no, they don't.
So,
They shouldn't. That was great.
but like another one.
They don't. So they don't.
awesome. Andy Gertch. Ping. Oh my God. It was so loud.
Here's another one. Here's another one. Like Josh brought this up. Like my one and only ex-girlfriend that I had is somebody that he's joked about
It's
bringing
my
on
white
for-
whale.
Interesting. You got her number?
I don't.
But like it could be like that. What if you brought on you guys actually You should not have told
Matt's
me.
mom.
You should not have told me. You should have
I
just
have thought
booked
of
my.
that.
You should have just booked my mom. You know.
Who
And
says
that would
I
have been.
won't?
That would have been. That would have been. Well, that.
We'll leave it for Josh on Wacky Guess Wednesday.
I don't know. Like if it was me and my mom,
It's Matt's mom.
it would not. I don't think it'd be entertaining because it would just be like our phone call. It'd be like, "How are you?"
Well, Josh could do the interview.
I'd be like,
Josh has questions.
I'd be like, "How's your dad?" Or "How's dad?" And she'd be like, "He's a pain in the ass." And I'd be like, "Great."
What if it was Kirk Ferentz?
That'd be insane. That'd be crazy.
He could get Kirk Ferentz. Kirk Ferentz would do it. He's got nothing to do.
I would be like, "What's the key to having good special teams?" That'd be
Oh,
a great question.
maybe you could ask his departed special teams coordinator.
Well, I would ask.
Maybe you
I
could
would,
ask that special teams coordinator, new coach, when your guest is Pat Fitzgerald.
now we have comments. Stibbs goes, I booked Matt's mom. Charles writes, Matt's mom's always entertaining.
Nice job.
Pat Black Cat goes, Matt's mom's gotta have takes.
Oh yeah, for
She's
sure.
the original take.
Not the original take. There were takes before your mom.
No, she's the original take.
I don't think so.
The original take. Martha McMaster. What a great gal.
Martha.
I know. Michael's my dad. I'm the like Clint.
Martha.
Why'd you say that name? Why'd you say that name?
All right.
God.
All right. So you got ideas. What are you writing down?
I wrote, so no Streep drafts and log into the text line is what I wrote.
You are crazy, man.
Why am I? This is the conclusion.
We got to get
that,
you reading.
this
the,
is- this is-
sponsor thing.
this is the
too.
conclusion that you guys have.
Oh yeah.
always-
Have you not done any of that?
Nah,
What?
You used to do that. I
What?
don't have to think about it.
Log into the V promo thing so you could tell people what's going on in 1620thezone.com.
We'll add,
Oh,
yeah, we'll add that in there.
oh, I was used to being handed a piece of paper.
What is paper? Why do all you guys deal with paper so much?
I was
Too many hard copies.
Well, actually, I wasn't handed the piece of paper. I was handed the piece of paper when I walked in at 6 o'clock and was told at some point read them, and then I would rarely read them because I
It's
would
a morning
forget.
show thing. I've
So-
witnessed. Once I was handed the piece of paper, as the person I was filling in next to didn't want to do it.
the
So,
piece of paper.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
But it's something new for me.
I'm trying to do a better job of having crossovers that aren't sport.
Okay.
related.
So you have topics?
You know what? On my list today was
We have
think
never
of-
talked about sports in the crossover.
We had talked about desk for 25 minutes yesterday.
So I on my to-do list today was write down topics for crossover. I didn't get to it. So my life is really, I'll just describe to you what my life is. I know exactly what I have to do to be successful. Like I know exactly like all the things that I have to do. And
You're setting yourself up for a lot of jokes.
This is a good lesson that you need to maybe, learn a little bit then.
and
Just let it flow, baby.
and I probably do like
Let it ride.
I probably do like 75% of those things.
Do
Okay.
the
you know?
inverse. Happer wants you to only do 25%.
No,
See what happens.
do you want me to be a little bit looser?
Yeah, I do.
loosier?
That would be my word of advice to you. Yes. Yes.
Be a little looser.
I mean, one of the things is like, hey, we have to sort of like advise you, and hopefully we are able to wrap our arms around you.
Yeah.
But I would say, yeah, just chill out. that'd be part of my
And
advice.
don't put so much pepper in the mac and cheese.
That was a really spicy mac and
That
cheese.
was not that.
It was
spicy.
overly spicy.
You
It
guys
was
are-
only spice.
You guys are so Caucasian. It's ridiculous.
No. There
You
is a
guys are gonna be
difference.
right.
There is a difference.
You guys are so
I love hot wings, but when the feature player of the wing is its hotness, it is not a good wing.
I want
when the feature player of the mac and cheese is the fact that it is way too spicy, it is not a good piece of food.
Here's my thing. Here's where I disagree. I use slap your mama. All right.
Too much.
No. I
The
use
slap your
a-
mama's fine.
I
It's just
use-
too much.
I used a
Schaefer,
classic.
how sweaty
real
were
season-
you on the scale of 1 to 10?
I didn't sweat that much. It just like mac and cheese being a comfort food. I'm not expecting to be overwhelmed with every bite that I take of just hot.
I didn't think it was that
Especially when
hot.
you go into it not expecting that. Though I was warned because you had eaten yours first.
Yeah.
I don't want to like the mac and cheese itself was fine.
I'm glad you brought it.
The flavor profile is not what I would choose. Basically, what it comes down to.
That's all. We're just trying to help.
Yeah, that and when there was bits of the pan in the cookie skillet.
That was not a thing. We thought it was a thing. Also, I think the cookie skillet may have upset my tum-tum
It upset my
because
tum-tum.
you did not cook it all the way.
No, I did.
It was mushy.
It's hard. I don't know how to cook. I don't bake. All right, I'm more creative.
You couldn't tell when you stuck your little finger in there that it was mushy.
It was mushy, and you go, I like it mushy. That's what you told me.
I was just trying to get out of there.
Did you put a toothpick in it? Did it come out clean?
You are the worst friend. You are the best and worst friend ever. You got a lot of good qualities that make you a good friend, like being funny and making jokes and whatnot. And then you just have other qualities. It's just where it's like,
I'm not gonna lie to you and tell you that your food was good when I didn't think it was good.
I just think you're hammering the wrong item.
The
I
mac and
think-
cheese.
I think the tortellini thing I made for you was way worse than the mac and cheese.
Oh no, that was good. Nice job.
See, the flight goes, Matt is a very white person too. I am very white. I'm also half Cuban, which what a win
Yeah.
for us yesterday. Whoa. Maria Cristobal.
Fernando.
You couldn't
And
lose yesterday.
I could not lose. We were gonna be winners no matter what. And on my abuela's 82nd birthday, Fernando Mendoza,
Oh.
a Cuban American, led the Indiana Hoosiers to a national championship.
If only he would have led Miami to a national championship.
Yeah, but
Never recruited.
it definitely is.
Forced to go to California.
Mm-hmm. Berkeley.
But a lot of Latins ended up going to the Midwest, going to the Chicago area. So it almost is kind of
Do
poetic.
they end up going to Berkeley?
A lot of Chicago is such an Indiana college town. It's crazy. Like there are so many people who went to the Kelly School of Business.
I don't think that answered my
The hell's
question.
that got to do with Berkeley?
No, they didn't go to Berkeley. They went to Indiana.
I don't understand how Chicago is ever a college town.
Exactly.
But it doesn't, but your entire statement didn't make sense.
No, the sense is that there are so many people who went to Indiana who now live in Chicago. There's a lot like Kirkwood, that Kirkwood bar, that's a Nebraska bar.
Sure.
It's not, that's an Indiana bar.
Okay.
They just happen to also have Husker cups.
Mhm.
Indiana is they have a
But
massive
Northwestern
presence
is
in
Chicago's team.
Chicago.
Yeah.
No,
DePaul.
Nobody cares about that. Nobody-
Dude, I saw Chris Holtman at the bar buying everybody beers. That was pretty
Yeah,
I'm
cool.
pretty
because-
sure I've seen more Chicago State gear in Chicago than I have Indiana.
Indiana is massive.
No, I believe you.
It's massive. But
It is.
I mean, what? Holtman's buying beers at Kelly's because why? They're just bad this year as opposed
no,
to being terrible.
Because they won 3 home games in a row.
Whoa, against a terrible Marquette team.
They are bad. Yes.
That is the worst Marquette team of my life.
Oh, by far.
Yeah. Like it's not even a question. They have never.
No,
been,
they truly stink. Yeah.
like they are awful at basketball, and they were great last year. I don't know, man. Shock has lost his fastball. Maybe he'll be the next Kansas head coach.
Nah, he'll be fine. He ain't going anywhere.
Who is going to be the next Kansas head coach?
We'll have a segment on that.
Oh, okay.
We'll talk about that.
Didn't want to spoil.
Do you have any recommendations? I have one name that came to my head immediately.
Yeah.
I'm not going to reveal of whether or not we're on the same wavelength. But
Do
I'm
you
curious to hear
you go to the young former player route like Duke did?
and like Kentucky did?
Nick Baugh, next head coach of the Kansas Jayhawks.
Oh, gotta bend those knees, fellas. A
One of-
Dana Altman, Bill Self tree? I don't know. He might have a case for it.
We got to go out there and be more like Indiana.
He might have a case for it.
Trying to think of what Kansas player coming back as their coach I would
I-
just
is-
find
yeah.
the most annoying out of it.
Grateful friend.
A place that's just full of annoying players.
What's
Paul
Frank
Pierce.
Mason doing? Paul Pierce. There you go.
That would be annoying. That would be so
They
annoying.
wouldn't do that. I don't
Jock
think.
Vaughn?
Talk about Rick Pitino
Oh.
taking into strip clubs and casinos.
Nice. Good rap.
Is he employed?
Jock Vaughn.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think he was an NBA assistant for. a
Well,
minute.
I
was,
think
right?
he
For a-
is. I thought he wasn't he the Brooklyn Nets head coach for
Was
a
it-
He
second?
was.
The
Yeah.
thought for a long time was that it was going to be Danny Manning, but that didn't work out.
He's an assistant at Kansas.
Danny Manning is? Well, maybe it actually.
No, Jacques Vaughn.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Well, there you
Maybe it
go.
will be
man.
Jock Vaughn.
That's a great shout,
Who is the guy on your mind?
Pat Kelsey.
My thoughts on Pat Kelsey are forever tainted.
Yeah, I know, because
He forgot about Ryan Kalkbrenner in the
He did.
NCAA
He did.
tournament.
He did.
What are
He
you
did.
doing?
He did. He also though is a really good coach.
I don't know. He might
Chuck
not
that
be.
water bottle.
He forgot about Ryan
He did
Kalkbrenner.
chuck that water bottle. He's a very good coach. I just look at it.
Greg
from,
McDermott chopped him up into pieces. He said,
Oh,
Hibachi.
in the
so
NCAA
here's
tournament.
so I guess I'll just spoil the segment.
I didn't mean to.
But like, you know,
you can talk about it again. You can talk about it again.
It's a different audience.
Oh, that is true.
you don't think Fred would get a call, or they think about calling Fred?
Yeah, but I don't think Fred's going anywhere.
No, I don't think he is, but like I think you can make, and this is kind of the segment, like if they end up like making a deep run in the tournament, it would be one of the best just stories and turnarounds in college basketball we've seen
Sure.
in recent memory.
I still don't think he's going anywhere.
No. I'm not arguing that he would go
The
anywhere.
idea of Kansas hiring the sitting Nebraska basketball coach is so fantastical in my mind.
Yeah.
As someone who just grew up hating everything about the Kansas Jayhawks
We've already
program.
heard
It's
that
like weirdly.
So
there's like a Michigan,
amazing.
there's a Michigan State hive that wants Hoiberg to be the guy after Izzo.
So the point of the segment, I want to make clear, the point of the segment is not going to be, Fred is leaving for Kansas. That's not the point.
It better not be.
The point of the segment is that it's fantastical and funny to think about. And also, too, you can just always make, like, Kansas is one of the very few jobs in sports, really, where you can just be like, yeah, like he's not going anywhere and he likes it here and all that stuff. But yeah, it's Kansas, it's like
I still don't think it matters for Fred.
like it's very, you don't, and
for
then,
other people, it matters, not for him.
and then the segment is going to turn into Josh and I kind of like naming what are jobs that are out there that you can be like, yeah, but it's the Yankees,
I don't think Hoiberg would go to the Yankees either.
Also, if Pat Kelsey gets a call on that Kansas job, he gone.
God, that's why
That
they
would suck.
that's why they would call him,
They
because
sh-
he's still relatively young.
He'd
and
be
he's
like their
had a lot of
90th
success.
choice, I think.
90th?
Maybe like 14th.
I don't think 90th.
14th.
Where are your top choices coming from?
That's a great question. I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. But
I do
remember how
when
Pat Kelsey forgot
when I
about
sat-
Ryan Kalkbrenner.
When I sat down and I thought, all right, who would go to Kansas for whatever reason? I was like, Pat Kelsey going to Louisville, turning that program around, having them be not great, but ultra competitive.
It's still Louisville, though. Like, how much credit should he really get?
They were in the crapper when he got there.
Yeah, they were,
And-
but
and
it's
he's,
still
and
Louisville.
he's made them a legitimate. And next year, I mean, like, he's gotten to the point where they're going to be consistently good. It's always the idea, though, of like Kansas is a bigger job and they have more resources.
Oh, I mean,
You
he's
know.
taking it for sure.
Yeah,
Like,
so it's just
no
like if he
argument
can
there.
do that at Louisville, imagine what he could do. That's how we hire coaches nowadays.
yeah,
You
I don't
do-
know if that's how Kansas hires coaches. I don't know if that's how Kansas should hire coaches.
Well, I'm just, once again, this isn't necessarily about there's a progression. I'm not making an argument for Pat Kelsey. I'm just saying that's a guy that I would have on the top of my
I would make an anti-argument for Pat
Who would
Kelsey.
who's your counter?
I don't know.
Happer's hiring
That
the
is-
guy that's coaching in
that
Miami
is-
at Ohio
yeah.
right now.
JJ Redick.
That's ridiculous, because
Why is it ridiculous?
This is a classic sport broadcaster thing where you go, I totally disagree with you. Well, do you have an opinion on it? No, I don't.
I just don't think it would be Pat Kelsey. Name any other guy. Name
Fred
it.
Hoiberg.
I can't see him leaving.
See, if you're not going to do Kelsey, then I can't tell you Mark Byington,
No, you can't. It's
Like-
not going to be
like-
him
like,
either.
It's not going to be him either.
No, I think it's like,
what do you think? Would you give Mark Few a call?
yeah,
I don't think he takes
I
that.
don't
job.
think
Exactly.
he leaves, but
It's
yeah.
like it becomes the kind of pie in the sky where we're gonna call it. We're like, well, I don't think. Well, they wouldn't call Patino. That'd be wild.
what about D-Rock?
No, I'd do Kelsey over D-Rock.
Interesting.
Also,
Okay,
I
here's a-
think it's
here's-
interesting you
here's-
guys have said a number of times. I don't think that person would leave their current job for Kansas.
Yes.
Well, Mark Few,
Especially one of them being the coach at Nebraska.
yeah. So that's Connor's take. I don't know.
I
if
think you're
necessarily
right
agree
every
with
time
that.
you said it, but that's interesting.
I think Ben McCollum would be interesting.
It'd
But
be-
if I'm dismissing D-Rock, then I can't throw in Ben McCollum. So I guess by the way, I think D-Rock, big game tonight for them. Be a massive game. But
John Fance is on the call.
yeah, that was a great interview. Well, I heard you. I didn't listen to the interview, but I heard you had him on. And I also
Spark notes
I
it.
also see it. Well, I just see it right here. Well, I did listen to the Kalshi thing today.
Oh yeah, stupid idiot. What's his
Ravel.
name? Yeah.
Real quick,
Giannis is nuts.
we did a little sports here, but I do want to mention something.
Kirk
I,
Heinrich.
I walked. Whoa,
That's a guy I thought about earlier. And
What's
I didn't.
Vinny Del Negro doing? So,
Great question.
so I walked in at about 8:40 today, and I grabbed my notepad and I just wanted to kind of get in and get out. And you two were like, immediately, we're like, why are you annoyed? Like, why
You
are
look
you
mad.
Yeah,
Like,
you had
why
some
are you
RBF.
upset? And I lied to you, and I told you, no, I'm good. I'm good. Now here's the thing.
Oh, you lied.
I did lie.
So we were right.
I was slightly annoyed.
All right. What
Were you
happened?
aggrieved?
Well, you guys know what somebody did something, and I think you know what it is.
No, we can't
And-
talk about this again for another 20 minutes.
And it's one of those things where it's fine. It's fine. You know, but I just had a lot of things to do. And when I walked over to the desk and I saw all of the computers and all of the junk.
Oh,
on
I
it-
did the sticky note.
No, there's literally a bunch of crap now on my desk.
I had to move the stuff off of my desk.
Yeah,
over
and
here.
onto my desk. So and so
They moved
that,
it to where there was no
so
one
that now
assigned to
is-
desk.
that was impeding. Like I got there and I go, you kidding me? Like I don't have the time or the energy to move all these things. And so I had to work at another desk today. And so that
Just a desk.
Did you work at my desk?
no, I went to the annex.
Oh, well, you're welcome to use my desk.
We have an annex.
Well, it's the old Neville desk
Kelly
that's
back there?
away
Oh,
from
yeah.
it's the old Neville
Toby?
desk that's away from everything.
Gotcha.
And I even brought I even have some things in my car that I was going to put on my desk and to mark it as mine, you know.
Oh, you're too late.
Well, what do you mean? No, there's just a bunch of computers on it now, so I don't even know where to put
It's a new
computers.
graveyard,
But it's my desk.
but nobody knew that it was your desk.
This building has too many graveyards.
That's true. We have Mr. Bones.
Who's what?
Remember Mr. Bones? He's still on the roof, except for he lost an arm.
He's on the roof.
Yeah, Mr. Bones.
Yeah.
Is that the skeleton for Halloween?
That's
Mhm.
right.
He's
His
on
name
the-
is Mr.
He's
Bones.
on the roof.
Yeah, he's been on the roof since like October.
But no, he was right here.
He's been on the roof since October.
They moved him up.
Yeah.
Well, I don't look at the roof of this place.
All right, check it out.
I've never really looked
I don't
up.
either, for the record.
Mr. Bones is up there.
I know nothing about Mr. Bones or the roof.
Thank you, Schaefer.
I have nothing to add here.
2027, you'll learn about Mr. Bones.
I wouldn't learn in 26.
No, you're not eligible.
That was a good one.
I think he's right.
Alrighty, that was the crossover powered by Ever Level Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. Are you pointing at it because you?
It's just a force of habit. I do it all the
Okay.
time.
I had a tough time reading yesterday. Hopefully, it will be easier today. Middays with back coming up.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people.
Whose car are we gonna take?
I have a lot of things I want to get off my chest.
That's an absolutely horse crap call.
Make room for Daddy! But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Chicago is.
This is Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Middays with Matt here on 1620 The Zone.
Sometimes you got to bring your own energy.
You do. Is today a bring your own juice radio show?
I don't think it is.
Are we playing a basketball game at Penn State?
We had a very exciting football game last night. Sometimes you gotta get yourself there, you know?
You do. You do have to get yourself there. We are going to get ourselves there. Where we are going, I don't know. How we are going to get there, I don't know that either. But we're going to hurt some people, and you can never ask me about it again. Okay? That's what we're doing today here on Middays with Matt. Indiana football won the national championship. What?
It happened.
What? Incredible.
You had many months to get okay with this.
You know what? I was okay with this in the preseason because I bet on Indiana plus 625, Matt McFutures, to make it to the college football playoff. Okay? I was on it. I was on this team.
Didn't have the guts to bet him to go all the way.
No.
Plus 625 is a great payday.
Don't
be mad at that.
Don't spin zone this, though. I saw it coming. I made a bet with Connor Happer. It's actually on the board. Indiana will make the CFP in 2025. That was considered to be a big, whoa. Because people do forget, people were ranked, they were ranked 23rd in the AP poll to begin the year. Okay? There were teams like LSU that were ranked higher than them. There were teams like Clemson and Penn State that were projected to do better than them this season. But Curt Cignetti and that beautiful Cuban American from Christopher Columbus High School, Fernando Mendoza, go ahead and lead.
He said a naughty word.
The Indiana Hoosiers. Who did? Fernando?
Yeah.
When?
During the trophy presentation.
I didn't see the trophy presentation, but I'll say this. I have, and we'll save this for 11 o'clock. I have a lot of issues of the broadcast yesterday. Okay? I have a lot of issues of what the presentation of the college football playoff looked like.
I typically find their broadcast to be perfectly bland. A lot of mistakes.
A lot of mistakes yesterday. A lot of weird things were going on. We will talk about that. But more importantly, who cares about my bitching and moaning about TV? We're going to talk about Indiana football because insane. They are the national champions of college football. I had to blink a little bit and be like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. Should teams around the country, should athletic directors around the country be panicked, or should they be hopeful? That's kind of the number one thing I took away from all of this. If you're an athletic director, should you be like, oh my God, they did it, so we can? Because everybody has a much better history in football than Indiana does. But they've proven that what it takes is great coaching, superior evaluation, and an alumni base that is willing and able to give you money to go ahead and collect the resources and collect the players that you need. Are you like, oh my God, I'm going to be under the gun? Or are you like, holy crap, we can do that too? It's incredible though, just how now Indiana's, I'm not going to go as far to say that they're a football school now. Okay. But you can't make the college football playoff, win a national championship the next year, and then they might be better next year. I don't think that's enough people are mentioning that. They might be a better team next season. You can't just have all
thought of that.
You cannot have all this football success, okay? And sell out crowds and have all these fans investing in your program. And you're like, yeah, we're still a basketball school though. Like based off of things that happened 30 years ago, we're still a basketball school. No, they might be a football school now. So we'll have that conversation. We'll have a conversation about the NFL coaching hires. I don't know. This was not a good pool to begin with when it comes to hiring coaches. And I think you're seeing that as to some of the hires that's been made. Here's the thing, though. Nearly a third of the league is going to have a new coach this season. Which is
what was
kind
the
of
number? 8, 9?
10.
10.
10 new positions. So a third of the league is hiring new coaches this season, which is wild. I mean, some of the guys were given short leashes. Some of the guys were given incredibly long leashes. I mean, Mike Tomlin, to be fair, didn't get fired. He stepped down, but I think it was time. We'll talk about all of that. Bill Self is kind of, he was taken to the hospital yesterday out of an abundance of caution. And I think we're getting to a conversation of, all right, not just from a health perspective, because he had a health scare last season as well. It's also I think that he is kind of getting closer to the Tony Bennett, Jay Wright, Roy Williams, Nick Saban conversation of this era just ain't for him. This time, I think just what he was successful in and the things that he enjoyed about coaching have kind of left, kind of gone to the wayside. As once again, Kansas, they did beat Iowa State last week, which, by the way, it's a Tuesday, which means we have a really good slate of college basketball. We'll talk about that at some point. But I don't know. I think the Kansas job, there might be some speaks about what the long-term future of that looks like. And we'll talk about, we'll have a little fun with it. And we'll talk about people they could potentially hire. Is there a coach in Nebraska, in the state of Nebraska, that would be a candidate for the job? Would they be interested in taking that job? We'll talk about all that later.
Let's get Crutch on the phone and ask him.
Well, I mean, yeah. We can get, I don't know if we can get Mac on the phone. How about we get Coach Huss on the phone and ask him? That'd be fun. No, I don't think any of that is
Amy Williams.
Hey, she's a good coach, really good recruiter too.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. The MLB Hall of Fame gets revealed today. There will be. I love the MLB Hall of Fame for two reasons.
Come on.
Number one, I just love the exclusivity of it. I just love that it matters. I love that there are so many players that you have fond memories of, that you enjoyed watching play baseball, that just aren't going to be in the Hall of Fame because it's just a different standard. Okay. Like, and this is just a hometown example for me, but like, I loved Anthony Rizzo. I think Anthony Rizzo's incredible. I know he's not going to be a Hall of Famer, but like, I'll never forget him. I'll never not remember. Paul Konerko, same thing with the White Sox. Like, that's guy, legend. All the White Sox fans love him. But hey, there's a, Hall of Very Good. I love the exclusivity of the Hall of Fame. I also love the tracking and the trends of the Hall of Fame of like, hey, will the guys who clearly cheated get in? Are they trending to be that way? So we're going to be on Manny Ramirez and Alex Rodriguez watch once again. That'll be a good time. And is that cheater Carlos Beltran? Why does he get in being a cheater, but all the other cheaters don't get in as well? I have some thoughts on that. We have so the Titans and Dolphins hired coaches. We'll talk about that. Jimmy Butler tore his ACL. That sucked. Good day of college basketball. Tim Verghese will be on the show at 12:30.
Tim.
Michael Severe. Reoccurring guest. Michael Severe.
He knows that.
Well, does he? We'll see if he does. We'll have a great moment at the end of the interview to see he's coming back next Tuesday. It's just going to be one of those things where I'm going to hop on to the stream at 11:30. I'm going to hope Michael is going to be there. We'll talk about Indiana football. We'll talk about recruiting. If I'm looking here at the UNL academic calendar, I believe today is the last day to enroll into classes.
I got to get that done.
So, which essentially means, by the way, wild, that classes began on January 12th in the spring semester. Insane to me. But yeah, today's the last for full day course registration and ads, including ads of thesis or dissertation credits for UNL. So essentially, and things can be maneuvered if they really, really need to, but essentially today is like the last day if Nebraska football is going to add anybody to the portal and get them enrolled into school. Now, we saw what happened with Xavier Lucas of Miami, who the cornerback who had to sit out in the first half of that game yesterday because he had a targeting call in the game before against Ole Miss. But He was at Wisconsin, signed a deal with Wisconsin, wanted to leave. Wisconsin wouldn't put his name in the transfer portal. Okay, they're like, no, you signed a contract. You can't leave. So Xavier Lucas just unenrolled in school and then just enrolled in Miami and then was essentially a walk-on. And they made room for him, and then he became one of the best DBs in the ACC this year. So, like, weird crap can happen like that, and so maybe there could be a roster addition, maybe one or two, as we get closer to the season. I mean, if everybody's going to cheat, I don't mind Nebraska cheating. Like Matt Rule in that Sport Nightly conversation he had with Kyle Crooks on Friday, which, by the way, we'll talk about a little bit more of that because I listened to about 15 minutes of it. I found out some more things about that interview, so we'll touch on that. But he had a great, Kyle asked him about tampering. He's like, how's it been with all this tampering and dealing with your own players and stuff like that. And Matt Rule goes, it was a great answer. He was like, there is no tampering. It's not tampering. It is what it is. It exists, right? And I couldn't agree more with him. Tampering is not an illegal thing. If it was an illegal thing, we would be punishing people for it. We would have sanctions on coaches and teams and programs and whatnot, right? Tampering is just a part of the game. So I couldn't agree more with Matt Rule. Tampering is not tampering. Tampering is just negotiation, okay? Like if everybody's doing it and guys are calling your players and trying to get them to be on their team in the future, you better be calling other people's players to gauge interest, to see if they want to eventually be on your team, because that's where we're at now. That's just what you have to do, right? I mean, that's the game you have to play. And I understand there's the morality reasons of all of that, but I also do think that there's just you serve one master, man, and that is winning. You got to win, right? And if other teams are calling your players, gauging their interest on you, engaging their interest in their program and telling them that, hey, we want you to eventually be on our team, you better be fighting fire with fire, because that's what you got to do. You got to fight fire with fire. You cannot get pushed around. If you get pushed around on the football field, you better not be getting pushed around off the field as well. And so we'll have a conversation tomorrow when it's basically official what Nebraska's transfer portal class looks like. Officially, though, right now they have 17 additions. They went ahead and got some really good key pieces. They also decided not to address some positions that they probably should have. I guess a running back. We'll see what happens with Marty Brown.
They got all day.
We'll see what happens with Marty Brown. So that's another interesting little tidbit here. The transfer portal is now officially open for Indiana and Miami football players for the next 3 days. So, there could be some potentially high quality players entering the portal in the last minute. So does Nebraska come in and swoop in and take one of them? We'll see what happens. But like I said, today is the last day to enroll in classes at UNL. So we have a loaded show. Loaded show. Indiana football, MLB Hall of Fame, Titans and Dolphins hired new coaches. Jimmy Butler got hurt, probably one of the most underrated players of a generation. And Bill Self, fortunately and unfortunately, had to check himself into the hospital yesterday. I say fortunately because I'm glad that they're taking it with abundance of caution. That's what the report was, right? He didn't have a medical episode or a heart attack or anything terrible like that, but they went ahead and checked him in just in case. So unfortunate he is where he is. Fortunate, though, that they're handling that. So we'll have a conversation about that and what the Kansas basketball job looks like in the future, on top of having Tim Verghese on Middays with Matt at 12:30 and Michael Severe on this show at 11:30, talking a lot of football, talking a lot of draft, talking a lot of player intel and player evaluation, on top of the odd news at 1 o'clock with Josh Odson. So loaded show, going to be a ton of fun. Keep you up to date with everything going on. Great night of college basketball tonight as well. We'll talk about that. Stick with me here on Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Now, back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
It is Matt here on 1620 The Zone. Old friend alert. Bill Callahan hired to be the Atlanta Falcons offensive line coach. How about that? BC back in previously with the Tennessee Titans with Brian Callahan, his son, as the offensive line coach for the Titans, who then fired Brian Callahan and then yesterday hired Robert Saleh to be their head coach. We'll talk about that later in the show.
I got some thoughts.
Yeah, you're a Tennessee Titans fan. I have some thoughts too. It was interesting. I'll say this. You're going to hire 10 coaches in the NFL this year. Somebody's going to be a diamond in the rough. Like one of these guys is going to end up being a really, really good coach. And I'm literally just going off of the law of averages. Like it's almost impossible to have 10 new teams hiring and not one of them ends up hitting it out of the park and having some sort of success with the guy that they hire. It's interesting too, though. So it seemed like Matt Nagy was like lined up for essentially, in my opinion, like a couple months to be the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. Like I feel like as soon as Callahan got fired, Brian Callahan got fired, Matt Nagy was an immediate name. Hey, he's been there before. He's coached a young team with a second-year quarterback. You know, I know that Nagy gets a lot of slack, and don't get me wrong, as a Bears fan, a lot of it is deserved. You do have to recognize, though, he did make the playoffs 2 times as his tenure as the head coach of the Chicago Bears. One time in 2018, one time in 2020. They nearly made the playoffs in 2019, and then it kind of fell apart in 2021. But you know that would have been an interesting hire for Tennessee, and I think Kansas City thought that he was on his way to the Titans as well because he was KC's offensive coordinator. KC's already hired an OC. They rehired Eric Bieniemy, who spent the last year being the running backs coach. Talk about a fall from grace, by the way.
Yeah.
Going from KC OC to Washington OC to UCLA OC to then being the running backs coach for the Bears. Eric Bieniemy now back to being the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs. So it's like Nagy, I guess, is out of the job. I don't know, but it kind of surprising to me. Robert Saleh ends up being the guy for the Tennessee Titans. We will talk about that later. All right. I'm not gonna complain yet, but I have a lot of complaints about the broadcast that happened yesterday at the national championship, and we will get your complaints in too, because it seems like a lot of people were unhappy. But let's just knock it out of the park. Indiana football won the national championship. My God,
that happened.
My God, like the fact that Indiana football, the team that every single Big Ten team would look at on their schedule and say, win. Win. Yeah, we'll beat them. That's an automatic win. That team won the national championship. One of the most losingest teams in college football history won the national championship. And didn't just win the national championship, beat superpowers on the way to doing it. Talk about this road. Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game, Alabama in round 1, Oregon in round 2, and a rejuvenated, resurrected Miami Hurricane team who played a home game in the national championship. Okay? That they didn't just, this isn't a Drake May, New England, Mickey Mouse Super Bowl run. Okay? This is you went through the gauntlet and you kicked Oregon's ass. And you kicked Alabama's ass. And credit to Miami, man. I thought that a lot of people walked into this game yesterday between the Hoosiers and Hurricanes and thought it was going to be more of a coronation than it would be a contest between the two sides. Miami had the ball with 1:51 to go with a chance to win the game and was able to get far enough down the field where they legitimately took a shot at the end zone. It's just Indiana, played some great coverage and ended up getting that pick. And so here's my takeaway, though, from Indiana winning. It comes down to a couple of things. Obviously, it starts with the head coach. I mean, it starts with Cignetti, and we're going to talk to Tim Verghese about it, but at 12:30. they found something. They're cooking with something in terms of their ability to evaluate players and develop players. I mean, that is the key to their recipe. They, better than almost anybody else, have been able to find whatever the secret sauce is and go ahead and say, okay, these are the types of players that we like, and this is how we're going to get them better. And they've done that now the last 2 seasons. And this time, because they got more talented, last year they were the 13th ranked transfer portal class in the country. They ended up having more success. So that's where it starts and begins. It starts and ends at the head guy. It starts and ends at Curt Cignetti's incredible ability to coach players, to evaluate players, and develop players. Then on top of that, it what adds on to it is the fact that now you have a rejuvenated fan base with a lot of money and a guy named Mark Cuban with other very wealthy alumni who are able to give that program the money that they need to go ahead and get the players and get the talent that they need to even take it to the next level. So it starts with the coach, and then it's added on by their resources, because if you build it, they will come. That is what it's always been about. If you can do less, or if you can do more with less, more will come. And that's kind of what's happened with Indiana football, which has caused this snowball effect to get them to win the national championship. But watching the game yesterday, I realized something, Josh. I realized that I think Indiana is exactly what Matt Rule wanted it to be when he got here in his first year. And here's what I mean by that. I think when Matt Rule first got here, he talked a lot about Iowa. He talked a lot about kind of emulating the same things that Iowa does. Wanted to run the ball, the famous quote, 75 yards of rushing in the fourth quarter. He wanted to be
still waiting for that, by the way.
Yeah, still waiting. He said in his first couple of press conferences, and I was there in Lincoln, I was there for it all. I saw this in person. I remember these things in person. He said, we want to be dynamic on special teams. And he always talked about the offensive line and defensive line. He wanted to be dominant up front, advanced in special teams, and run the football. But what he wanted to do is he wanted to emulate those things like Iowa has created. He wanted to emulate the Iowa formula, but he wanted to be the top level of it. He wanted to be, and this is just the best way I can put it, he wanted to be the Ohio States of Iowa, in my opinion. He wanted to do all those things. Run the ball, control the clock, dynamic on special teams, be dominant on the offensive and defensive line. But he wanted to be able to recruit at a higher level and get just bigger, faster, more physical players than we've seen in those systems. He's failed to do that. But Curt Cignetti has succeeded, because that's what Indiana is. Indiana is the Ohio States of Iowa-style football. They had 35 minutes of possession yesterday. Okay? They did not give up on the run. They only averaged with the running backs 3.9 yards per carry, but they ran the ball 36 times. They got to the red zone 4 different times. They scored every single time, whether it be a touchdown or a field goal. They won that game essentially because of a blocked punt. They blocked the punt. They recovered in the end zone. They won on special teams. They handled what they needed to handle up front. That Miami defensive lineman, Reuben Bain, that's a guy, by the way, if you're a Tennessee Titans fan, you're hoping that they end up picking him.
Saw a mock this morning that had him going to Nashville. I was excited.
He's a guy. He's a dude. And Miami, I cannot stress it enough. They got some guys, man. And they've done it both ways. Like Malachi Toney, Reuben Bain, Mark Fletcher, those are homegrown guys, but they've also been able to go in the portal and supplement themselves with guys like Carson Beck. And so Mario Cristobal, they're gonna be around. They're gonna be competitive. They're gonna be really good for a while. But what Indiana did yesterday was just, in a way, kind of what Nebraska's wanted to do. Nebraska has wanted to be the more physical team. Nebraska has wanted to run the ball. Nebraska has wanted to be dynamic in special teams. And for whatever reason, and I think the reason is plain and simple, it's because Indiana has Curt Cignetti and Nebraska doesn't. Curt Cignetti is the best coach in college football. What he's done in the last 2 years in this era, right? I would right now, currently. Now, don't get me wrong. Kirby still has a better resume, right? Dabo still has a better resume. Okay. Ryan Day is still very much in that conversation. But his turnaround of this program, taking them from being the laughingstock of the Big Ten and looked at as a guaranteed win, is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, turnaround in sport history. And you go ahead and you look at what they've gotten this year in the transfer portal class. They're only going to, I cannot stress this enough. Indiana football is going to be better next year. I mean, Josh Hoover was a better quarterback coming from TCU than Fernando Mendoza was coming from Cal.
No relation.
What, Hoover?
Yeah.
To Herbert Hoover?
No, to me.
You're Odson.
His name is Josh.
Oh, jeez. I thought you were talking about. I was like, what are you doing? But Josh Hoover, really good quarterback, gunslinger. He's going to be awesome in the Indiana offense. You got Nick Marsh, right? Nick Marsh was he played in Lincoln this year. That's a guy who was dynamic as hell for Michigan State. They are ranked the second highest portal class this year, only behind Texas Tech. On top of that, just to give you a little perspective here, they were 13th in the portal ranking last season, right? Notable teams that were ahead of Indiana in the portal rankings last year: Kentucky, Rutgers, North Carolina, Auburn, and LSU. Those teams.
That's a lot of crap out.
A lot of crap.
Wow.
3 of them fired their head coach. Okay? Those were the transfer portal class that were more talented than Indiana last year, and Indiana won the national championship. Okay? They're only building. They're only getting better. They're only finding more momentum. So he has cracked the code, and I think that if you're an athletic director, you have 2 reactions. Your one reaction could be crap. Like, there are going to be a lot of fans and a lot of administrators and a lot of people and a lot of donors who are going to look at me and say, why can't you do that? Or, as an athletic director, you can say, you know what, if they can do it, we can do it. You know what, if they can find a Cignetti, we can find a Cignetti. You know what, if they can find some money, we can find some money. If they can turn a basketball school with a laughingstock football program into a national champion, why can't we? I think you know what type of athletic director we would all prefer to have. Okay. I would much rather prefer to have the inspired and hopeful athletic director that looks at Indiana as a challenge and not the athletic director that is fearful of the expectations that now are going to come, because there are football programs, and a lot of people listening to this station root for one of those football programs who are going to say, why can't we do that? Why can't Nebraska do? Like, can somebody give me an answer as to why Nebraska can't do what Indiana football did over the last 2 seasons? Like, and if your answer is, well, you know, it's Matt Rule, okay, then maybe we have to start asking some questions, right? But I'm just saying from this perspective, why can't Nebraska hire a head coach that is advanced in evaluation, advanced in player development, develop those players, have success, win games, and then create momentum that then gives you more resources then to add on and push the snowball down the hill? Why can't Nebraska do that? I don't see any reason why. I don't see any reason why Nebraska can't. I mean, all Indiana essentially did was just hire the right guy. Like, let's be real. Yeah. That's what they accomplished is they looked at a pool of candidates and they said, you know what? We believe in this guy. He's got the right attitude, the right mindset, the right style of play for the Big Ten. He knows what he's doing. He's got a ton of experience. He comes from a really good tree. We've identified that this is our dude. And they identified the right guy who did the right things to then cause this momentum to get them to the national championship. And Curt Cignetti is the reason. I mean, like, when we hire in sports in general, I feel like the number one criteria is, wow, they did more with less. Imagine what they can do with more. And it doesn't always work out that way. Like, I'm very curious to see what happens with Pat Fitzgerald at Michigan State. Like, that will be a great case study to see, okay, he now has more. Can he accomplish more? The reason why Matt Rule got hired is that exact same reason. Oh my God, look at what he did at Baylor when that program was basically dead. Oh my God, look at what he did at Temple.
See what he can do with some resources.
Let's see what he can do with some resources. And he has missed the mark so far. Curt Cignetti created those resources. Curt Cignetti did more with less. Literally took the entire James Madison University roster. I mean, basically, I mean, gutted them. Took those guys that all of these other Power 5 programs overlooked and said, they can't play with us. They can't compete with us. They're not big enough. They're not strong enough. And he got them to be big and strong enough and fast enough to make to the college football playoff last year. And that created the momentum to go ahead and get more resources to then add on top of this. Indiana has the culture. They have the coaching. And now they have the money and momentum to keep this thing rolling and to get more talent. This thing, man, I mean, they won the national championship yesterday. I don't see any reason as to why it stops there. I don't see any reason as to why this is a one and done. I think when you got that guy as your head man on that headset and that team has the culture and is as dialed in as they are, they won that game in part because they were 30 yards less penalized than Miami. I mean, they just have it. They have the ingredients. They have the formula, and they got the guy. So I'm looking at Indiana yesterday, Josh, and I go, that I know that is the team that Nebraska was striving to be, and Indiana got there first. And if that makes you mad, I don't blame you whatsoever. It's 11 o'clock, which means it's going to be the bitching hour. I have a lot of things to complain about. That broadcast was awful. And we have to have some speaks, ESPN. We got Rick on the line too. Rick, don't go anywhere. We're gonna put you on here and we're gonna get some of your thoughts. He wants to talk about Matt Rule. I want to talk about a lot of things. It's Middays with Matt here on 1620 The Zone.
Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
This is a sale so big that Standard Heating and Air can only do it once a year. Right now, and for a very limited time, buy a Carrier air conditioner from Standard Heating and Air and get a free furnace. On qualifying equipment, for details, call or click.
Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
The way too early CFB National Championship odds for 2020, I guess 26, 27 came out. Do you want to guess who has the highest odds? Josh Hodson?
I'm going to guess it's Indiana.
It's Ohio State.
Okay. That would have been my second guess.
Plus 600. And then you got a 3-team tie. Texas, Notre Dame, and Oregon plus 700. Followed up by Indiana plus 800. Georgia plus 900. Then there's a big drop-off. You get to plus 1,500 with Alabama, LSU, Texas A&M, and Texas Tech. And then Miami plus 2,000s. As Matt McFutures over here.
Yeah, what's your crystal ball say?
Oregon plus 700 is interesting. Dante Moore coming back is very intriguing. They were a young team, from last season into this season. We talked a ton about it with Brett Ciancia. They lost 30 guys in the portal, but they were able to bring 15 in, and they were, from a rating perspective, the guys that they brought in were of higher quality than the ones that they lost. It's one of those things where I think Dan Lanning is on the precipice of, like, if
it's going to happen for them,
if
at
any,
some point.
it will. And I think that they talk about it. If I had to pick, hey, select a place that could become a potential dynasty in this era, right, of college football playoff, which is going to be so hard. I mean, like the 10 seed made it all the way to the national championship game. The 7 seed last year won the national championship. Like it's you got to play. I mean, if Indiana didn't get a first round bye, they would have had to play 17 games in order to end up winning the national championship. That's insane. That's crazy. You got to play a full NFL season now, and you can't slip up or have a bad day or a bad game. Like that's rough. But if anyone were to do it, I do think that Oregon has the potential to be a dynasty. I would consider a dynasty like a 3 titles in 5-year type deal.
Sure, yeah.
That's what I would say. I would consider that a reasonable college football dynasty. I think Oregon can do it. I think plus 700. That's some pretty good odds. That's some pretty good odds for Oregon. Indiana plus 800, I think, is a really, really good bet too. So
I liked the value of LSU. I don't necessarily think they'll win, but
you know what? I do like a plus 1,500 one.
Yeah.
I don't like LSU though. I kind of like Texas Tech.
Okay. For sure.
Because they were a team. I don't know. I think out of all, we had this interesting conversation about the bye weeks, right? Like, man, if the teams who get the bye seem to be hurt by it more than they're helped by it, I think Texas Tech was probably the number one candidate for that. Like, they were just slow and sluggish and just looked out of rhythm and not on it. I mean, their offense, which was really, really good all year long, was quite terrible against Oregon. So I still believe in Texas Tech. I still believe in Joey McGuire. All right, we'll go to the phone lines here. The Prairie Flower Casino hotline, 402-951-1620. Don't forget, Prairie Flower Casino. Play longer, win more. We'll go to Randy here on line 2. Randy, how you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing okay. Just the purpose of my comments is that you said you can't have a bad day. I says, well, Alabama got in with bad days, and so did Miami. So
well, I'm saying winning a national championship. I'm saying winning a national championship.
You got to have your bad days early.
Yeah, you got to have your
bad days. The reason I called is watching the game last night. My wife, she watches the game, she usually doesn't comment too much, but she asked, why couldn't Nebraska have hired Cignetti? My comment was, well, he was probably available when they were hiring, but I was going to tell her that they should have that the AD should have just used Google instead as a search firm, but
I appreciate the comment, Randy. Here's the one thing like that. And I heard the same thing too. Like, why did Nebraska hire Cignetti? I just don't think that. I mean, Mike Riley got hired from a Power 5 job, and people were like, "Who?"
Yeah.
And that kind of floated over like a lead balloon. I just don't know if this university, would have gotten a ton of support to hire a guy who never had a Power 5 coaching job. Like, and honestly too, I don't know if with the pressure and expectations and everything that isn't football that comes with being the Nebraska football head coach, I don't know if you can go from being at James Madison University to having a seamless transition, right? We got to remember here, guys. Curt Cignetti, when he went to Indiana, even the people in Indiana were like, okay, cool. I don't really know who this guy is, but it's not that big of a deal. We're a basketball school anyway. Like that's how it was. It's like, oh, okay, I guess this guy's come from James Madison. All right, he's won a lot. We'll see if it works out. Like it's not as if they were on Bloomington Sport Radio being like, why the hell did they bring in this guy from JMU? Like, we had all this. No, I mean, it was just like, cool. Like, what's the basketball team doing? It was very under the radar. And then we clowned his ass for months, being like, who the hell does this guy think he is? Saying, Google me, and he's at an Indiana basketball game saying that he's going to kick the crap out of Purdue and all these teams in the Big Ten. This guy ain't. It's Indiana. What are you talking about? We kind of clowned Indiana when they made the hire in a way. I don't think that would go over well at Nebraska. I don't think that was never an option. That was never an option and something that Nebraska could have done. And you can maybe, that's a whole other conversation. Would Curt Cignetti have the same success here at Nebraska as he did at Indiana? I believe so. I think he would. All right, we go on the line to Rick. Rick, how you doing today, dude?
Josh and Matt, thanks for taking my call.
Of course.
In old school capitalism, there were four things. It was labor, land, entrepreneurship, and capital. Nebraska has the capital. They have the money. They have the land with the facility. But with the entrepreneurship and the labor, they're lacking. And it goes back to, like you alluded to earlier, Matt, when they hired Riley. Bo obviously won games, but he didn't appeal to the fans and the media, I guess, or whatever. But then when they brought Riley on, obviously a disaster. And then as far as the nepotism factor, when they bring Frost on board, and it didn't work out for whatever reason. And then the nepotism thing came up again when Rule came on board, and he kept Raiola, who might be an okay line coach, but then they bring in the nephew. And on the long term, if the Raiola quarterback would have stuck around, things could perhaps play out better. But for whatever reason, the Raiola leaves. And now you're in the situation again where you're bringing in a quarterback from perhaps Las Vegas who's only got 1 year of eligibility, I believe, correct?
Yes, I believe he does.
So as far as now you're going to the year 4, you're going to have a quarterback maybe for 1 year. And obviously the schedule's murder this year. So I think with the good old boy club, they weren't willing to break change and do things in a business-like manner. And it's easy to say that now because hindsight is 20/20, I believe. But for what that's worth.
Yeah.
And the other thing about Cignetti, who maybe the better team didn't even win the game last night. I think the better coach team and the team that played harder. Miami was a tremendously physical team.
They were really.
And it was a great game. But the punt block obviously turned out to be the difference in the game if you look at the total score. So I really enjoy the show. You guys stay warm. Catch up later.
Thank you, Rick. Yeah, I mean, you're totally right. I mean, the more disciplined team won. I mean, those yards at the discrepancy of yards and penalties definitely played a factor. The time of possession played a factor. Indiana's just, I don't want to call it stubbornness because it worked out for them. They weren't getting the success that they're typically accustomed to on the ground, and yet they didn't stop running the ball. They said, nope, we're not going to go away from it. This is the heart of our offense. We're going to continue to pound this rock. They executed, except on that false start, which is like, whoa, that was
jarring in its own right.
I mean, I can't believe that happened. Like, everybody couldn't believe that happened. Like, the game was about to be over, and then, the false start gave Miami life. I don't know if I necessarily agreed with the play call on 3rd down and 5 to just go ahead and run outside zone to the left, but neither here nor there. They end up winning the game. I want to go back to, like, what Rick just said about the whole, like, nepotism thing and stuff like that and hiring staffs. Like, Matt Rule made hires that were favors for people, okay? He made hires that were favors. Hiring Garrett McGuire to be your wide receivers coach, right? When he's very young and hasn't had a room like that before, was a favor. I think Garrett got a little bit too much slack from people, but he obviously didn't do the best job that you possibly could have. Like, you could have made a better hire. They just could have been better in that room in year 1. Hiring Bob Wager to be your tight ends coach, was a favor, right? It was going ahead being like, hey, I want to give coaches opportunities. I want to get into Texas. I want to recruit there. This is my idea. That didn't work out. Hiring Terry Braden was he was told, hey, here's a young coach that a lot of people that I respect like. They're telling me to give him a shot. I'm going to give him a shot. That was a disaster. That was the absolute wrong move. And there are moments where I think that Matt Rule likes to do things and he likes to give young coaches opportunities because he was a young coach that was given an opportunity and he wants to pay it forward. And I think there's a sense of pride for Matt Rule too. That is like, wow, if this young coach ends up being great, I can be like, look, he came from my tree. I believed in him first. He likes doing that. He likes, kind of boasting about those things. And I don't blame him. You got to take your wins where you can. But this program needs to stop doing favors and needs to start doing things to win football games. Okay. It really, no more. Like, it shouldn't have mattered to begin with, but it definitely should not matter now that, hey, I have guys that like me that I trust that are like, hey, you should hire this guy. Like, no, you got to do your own evaluation and you got to say, you know what, instead of doing a favor for somebody and being like, oh yeah, I believe, I'll hire the guy that you really, really like and you're telling me is going to be a superstar one day. Like, no, I'm actually going to hire the veteran defensive line coach who's had his room for multiple years, who has pelts on the wall and guys that he's developed into all conference players. Instead of giving a 23-year-old who hasn't had a wide receiver room before, that entire room, maybe I'll make him an analyst, or maybe I'll make him an assistant, or maybe I'll put him somewhere higher up on the list. But no, I'm going to go ahead and get a experienced, successful wide receivers coach that I know has developed wide receivers.
The kids are picking on me.
Yeah. I'll tell you this right now. Like, when South Carolina lost Marcus Satterfield, okay, to be their offensive coordinator, there weren't a ton of people being like, damn it, what the hell? Sat's not going to call plays for the Gamecocks anymore? That didn't happen, okay? And I think, look, he's changed. He's changed, right? Because he's not doing that anymore. He's hiring guys that do have pelts on the wall, that he didn't have connections with, that he didn't have relations with, that he knows are, have been successful elsewhere. That's why he went ahead and got Rob Orch. That's why he went ahead and got Jeep Wade. The point is still the same, though. I question why you had to lose and get embarrassed for that to happen. And while maybe you fix those mistakes, you still should be held accountable for those mistakes. And we need to hold them accountable for that. But I just think it really just stems back to a lot of just it just seemed like some of the hires on the coaching staff were less about merit and more about connections and more about relationships. And I think you have to balance those things, but I don't think they did a good job of balancing that. Like they needed to prioritize getting, because Nebraska football is not going to win unless you have elite player development. And like, go ahead and look at what they did with Donovan Raiola, right? They go ahead and they keep Donovan Raiola because, hey, you could have that connection to Dylan and you can end up getting Dylan. I do genuinely think, though, initially that Matt Rule liked the tree that Donovan Raiola came from. He came from the very famous offensive line coach at Notre Dame, Harry Hiestand. Come from the Harry Hiestand tree in college football, especially amongst offensive line coach, that carries weight. And so I think there was a part of, Matt that liked that. At the same time, the results weren't there. And it's funny, Curt Cignetti, when he got to Indiana the same year that, a year later, I guess, after Matt Rule, he only kept one coach. He also kept his offensive line coach, Bob Bostad, who, talk about big names on the coaching market. If I was a team with a ton of money, I would write a blank check for that guy, because what he's done with that Indiana offensive line and just how they've been able to impose their will in the Big Ten and in the college football playoff, that's a dude I would love to coach my favorite college football team. But that's the difference. Matt Rule kept the offensive line coach that he later had to fire because he wasn't developing the depth with the young guys that he was bringing in. Curt Cignetti kept his offensive line coach, and he's probably the best offensive line coach, or one of the best offensive line coaches in the country. That's the difference. Like if you're looking for comparing and contrasting, what is Indiana doing differently than Nebraska to be successful? It's they're evaluating differently. They're looking for different traits clearly. They're looking for different experiences, and they're developing better. And they're taking guys who were doubted and making them into impact players. Elijah Surratt played at JMU. Okay? Pat Coogan was taken from Notre Dame. Charlie Becker, their tight end, was recruited out of high school.
Cigs didn't take a bunch of 5-stars to the promised land. No. This was work. This was coaching and development.
And this was just like they got a quarterback from Cal. Mm-hmm. They got a quarterback from Ohio.
It's my biggest frustration with Matt Rule right now is, okay, you're gonna if you see problems in the staff, I guess kudos to you for changing it. But you're constantly moving. We talk about on field, this team has no identity. In the locker room, this team has no identity.
I know,
because you're just shifting. Like, okay, we're going to be a passing team. We're going to play fast. We're going to play hard, and then we're going to play Smash Mouth now this year. It's just pick a lane.
There's no continuity.
Stick with it. Yeah.
There's no continuity. There is zero continuity amongst the coaching staff. There are not enough guys who have been in the system long enough and know exactly what's expected of them because they've missed out on coaching hires. They've missed out. What Curt Cignetti is doing at Indiana is what we were promised Matt Rule would do at Nebraska. We were promised that Matt Rule would evaluate and develop talent at a higher rate than most teams in the country because he did it at Temple and Baylor.
Hi, I'm Matt Rule. I got a program. Stick with me. We'll win.
Yes. And we were told, hey, I developed Hassan Reddick and I developed, Charlie Brewer and PJ Washington and then all these, look at all these offensive. Terrence Knighton was a guy no one believed in. He ended up playing. Dude, what? You haven't done that here. And there are other guys across the country who are doing that, who are doing what we thought that we expected you to do. And I think that is totally right in any regard for people to be frustrated about.
And the few coaches who have had a shred of success at Nebraska under Matt Rule, out immediately.
Yes. Knighton, gone. See ya. Tony White, gone. Mike Eckler, gone. Probably. And that's another thing, too. A lot of these guys who've had success, Josh, to your point, end up taking lateral jobs. And you're kind of like, what the hell is going on here? It's frustrating. And I think that Matt Rule can sit on a podium and say, hey, look at where we are now compared to where we've been. And I can shake my head and I can say, okay, yeah, I'll give you a little credit there. I'll give you a little credit. I'll agree. Hey, this Rascal was in the sewer before you got here, and now you're a little bit better off. I can also shake my head though and say, hey, you haven't kept promises that you've made. And you have not met the expectations that not only we set for you, but you set for yourself. We'll go back to the phone lines. We'll take these 2 calls, and Michael Severe will come up next. We'll go to Captain. Captain, how are you, bud?
Good, brother. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, thanks for the line. Matt ain't doing it because Matt can't do it, and he never has done it. And if anyone would have did their homework on the guy, they would have saw it. The Cignetti thing, Curt Cignetti, I've said this many times on the YouTube. His dad was hired by Bobby Bowden at West Virginia, and Kirk was on the sideline hanging out.
Yeah.
And then dad hired up Nick hired up Curt. Well, Curt Cignetti comes from a Hall of Fame coaching tree, which that's one of it. But he also has Indiana University of Pennsylvania, who helps him develop players and get players there because his brother is the OC there. And he has James Madison doing that. So he has 2 lower colleges that are all working for the same purpose, which is getting their players to Indiana, getting them paid, and obviously winning championships, right?
Yeah, I think that's a great call.
Go ahead.
No, it's a great call. Keep going. Keep going, Captain. I love this.
The guy that we need to look at
is,
at Indiana is the OC, Mike Shanahan. That guy needs to get a call and see if he would be interested in coaching at UNL head coach football, because we don't have the right guy on the bus, and Kirk said it. Once you get the right guys on the bus, then you're going to start winning, and
Yeah.
he's showing it.
And you don't let him
You
leave.
guys have a good afternoon.
You
man.
too, Captain. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, there are going to be a lot of calls to Indiana coaches, assistant coaches saying, hey, come help us. It'll be interesting to see if they can keep them together. We go back to the phone lines. Curt is on the Prairie Flower Casino hotline. How you doing, Curt?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Doing great.
So, Cignetti's obviously a good coach.
Mhm.
But I think the NIL era meets his skills exactly where they should be because he is a boss. He treats his I'm the way based off of how he sounds. I have no idea what goes on behind closed doors, but the way he approaches things is, I am your boss. You are my employee. You are getting paid. I have expectations. If you don't meet these expectations, we're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
And so the era that we live in with players being paid, I told my son this last night. Like, he literally treats these players like employees, and a lot of coaches don't do that because they're trying to be the nice guy. They're trying to like build culture and all these words to get the program in the right direction. I don't think Cignetti cares about that. He just has expectations, and either you meet them or you don't.
Yeah. I like that, Curt. Here's another. Let's add to the caveat, right? Add to this. I can physically see them locked in on the sidelines. You can't hear what's going on in the headset, but when they do the shot on Cignetti talking into it, it's almost as if like you can hear the conversation going on, which is everybody's silent and the big man is talking and you're going to listen to it. And this is what we're going to do, and here are my instructions. And it's one of those things too, where we live in an era of look at me. It's all about me. It's all about the brand. It's all about the draft. It's all about the money. When I look at Indiana play football, I just look at 105 grown ass men who just want to win. There's not a ton of showboating. There's not a ton of, of look at me or anything like that. They just play with a fierceness, a fearlessness, a physicality, a speed that is noticeable. And Aiden Fisher, number 4, their linebacker, that's a guy you can pinpoint, like that's the heart and soul of the team. That guy is the heart and soul. That is the heartbeat of that program. I don't know if can you really identify that on Nebraska football? And I'm not trying to single out players or anything like that, but I'm just making a point, right? Like Indiana has that type of guy, and they have that type of guy because it's nurtured, because it's encouraged, because it's respected, because it's needed. I think that's also something that if we're going down the line of things that Nebraska might lack. It's that. So, I mean, they got it, man. They got it. They got it rolling. They had their system. They have their beliefs.
And
they have their standards and expectations, and they meet them every time.
And now they have people all across the country saying, I want to go there.
Yeah.
They're winning. I want to go there. Because, kids want to get paid. They want the nice locker room and all that, but they want to win.
Yeah. Do you know who wants to win all the time? Michael Severe. He's going to come up next here on Middays with Matt, talking everything college football, scouting, draft, intel. Michael's got it all. Should be a good one here on 1620 The Zone.
Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone. Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Pleasant surprise here in studio. I thought we would be doing it over screen. We're not. Michael Severe is right in front of me. I'm looking at him with my own.
Got to have some internet to be able to do that. And the internet
Yeah.
is down for 2 days.
What happened? How does that happen in 2020?
You come in on a Monday morning and you're like, oh, we'll get the, and then, oh, look, the internet's not working. And so you know what you do, right? You unplug the
Sure,
router, you
sure.
plug it back in, doesn't work. Then you call the company and you say, can you send us a signal? And they send you a signal. And then eventually you get to the point where they got to come out.
Yeah.
And they can't come out till tomorrow.
Isn't it incredible that like in a world of like radio and people being broadcast technicians, and you have a ton of experience with, devices, and I have a ton of experience with devices, and Josh has a ton of experience with devices. All it ever comes down to is unplug it and plug it back.
Most times
that's
that
literally
works.
all we do.
I will never forget one morning when I was working at Channel 7, we did a live hit with John Oakey in the studio and someone on the International Space Station.
Okay. Oh, hell yeah.
Okay.
Was it
yeah, it was
it was him. It was
Yeah.
that guy. I rappelled down a building with him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You told me that. Yeah.
Well, I forget
Clayton
his
Anderson?
Clayton, yes.
So we do that, right? So then that afternoon, I'm on the radio and the signal on the phone call that the person we're talking to drops out. And I'm like, we just had a conversation from 33,700 miles in the sky, and somebody who is in Idaho, we can't get them to come up on the phone.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's I mean, still,
The old
like,
days.
we are still getting to that point. Like my grandmother has better internet than my parents.
Really?
She's 82. Okay. Turned 82 yesterday. Love
Yeah.
that, Willa. I'm like, I tell my mom and dad, I go, how in the hell did
Yeah.
this lady who was literally born during World War II,
Yeah.
how does she have faster G fiber internet than you do? I mean, this is ridiculous.
My father-in-law lives in St. Paul, Nebraska, but he doesn't live in the city limits.
Okay.
So he doesn't have the normal internet.
Sure.
He's got to get the satellite internet.
Okay.
It's the only
All
way
right.
they can
All
get
right.
it.
Yeah.
And when that, the satellite, you know how the satellite does. Anybody who ever had DirecTV knows what it does.
I know.
Same thing with the internet. And so it makes it really hard. And they're only about a mile outside of the city limits.
Isn't it incredible though? Like literally 15 years ago, we were still walking up to big box TVs and hitting them on the side so the static would go away.
I don't know if it was 15 years ago.
2010, because I remember Kosuke Fukudome was up to bat, and it started getting real fuzzy. It was like a second at bat of his career, and I had to run up to the TV, and I was small enough but strong enough where I wouldn't break the TV, but I would hit the static out. And I was the static hitter. So I would smack
in 2010. 2010, I had a 42-inch Samsung television that had a sound bar at the bottom that had full 50-50 split screen.
That's crazy.
That TV is one of the greatest TVs I ever had. I had it for probably 8 years.
Yeah.
Gave it to my son, who then played on the Wii with it until it finally died.
Yeah.
It was heavy, but it was a great TV. I never hit that till.
We had a 2010 Ford Explorer that was like souped up at the time for 2010. And then we got a different car. The Ford Explorer like had features that like a 2019 car didn't have. Like it had the beeping, like it had the backwards camera, but it was beeping, like it always beeped for you and stuff like
I
that.
had a
It had the motion
2008
sensor.
Ford Explorer Sport.
Oh, okay.
The Sport edition.
All right.
It had the full
Was that the one
sunroof?
Our Ford Explorer was one of the first cars where it had the blind spot warning
It had the light
on the mirror.
It did.
God.
Yep. It did.
That is such a I've literally avoided so many crashes.
I don't know
Just
how
putting it
people
down.
don't have that.
You have to
just
have
get
that.
used to it, and people drive so fast up on you
Yeah.
that you look over and you go to your other mirror, and by that time the person's already up.
Are
in your butt.
but you still check your blind spot though. You're not
I do.
going-
I am a 3-point checking constantly. It's just me. I'm in a habit. I'm constantly checking the rearview mirror. It's just natural because I'm so terrified of. I was once in a car that hit a motorcycle. I wasn't driving.
Oh,
I was in the car,
Ugh.
and the motorcycle operator did not die.
Yeah.
But he got bumped and he ended up, going down. And because of that, ever since then, I am constantly looking to see if there's a motorcycle coming.
So here's like a interesting thing. Like one of the best pieces of
I'll judge to
advice-
see if it's interesting or not.
Well, it's about you.
Okay,
It's about
okay.
you.
All right.
You told me one time one of the best pieces of advice that you've given me, because I'm a part of your coaching tree, whether you like it or not, is you told me, dude, people are crazy.
Oh yeah.
Like you've looked me dead in the eyes. Seriously, you can be like, people are crazy. And now that I've grown, I'm like a little older. I'm realizing that people are indeed crazy. And so when I go to lunch with you, I see your eyes. You're darting
I'm
around.
constantly looking.
You're constantly
Yeah.
looking. You're facing the door. Like
I've
you're
been
on
that
it.
way my
I'm
whole
going to
life,
be
yeah.
real with you. I'm
Yeah.
kind of starting to develop that because just I've had more and more crazy people and crazy things. Like now with social media, they get amplified, right? That there are just psychos. out there.
Yeah.
So now I'm kind of slowly becoming Michael Severe. I'm slowly becoming a middle-aged New Orleans-born
I am
African American male.
I'm past middle age. Let me tell you right now, I'm past. Unless I'm living to 118, I'm past middle age. Or 112. There was a famous shooting in the city of Omaha.
Yes.
It was, I think it was Club 88 or Club something 89. And in that situation, everybody is sitting at the restaurant. They're in the restaurant, and the person who is having a mental breakdown comes in with a shotgun.
Oh my God.
And the people who are facing the door all hit the ground. The people who are not stand up. And the guy shot 4 or 5 people.
Oh my God.
And it was people that had their back to the door. And I remember my wife telling me for years, she's like, it's so Steven. And then I went and covered the parole. It was either the parole hearing or he was up for something to get out.
Yeah.
And I told her the story. I'm like, do you remember that club shooting? She goes, yeah, I remember. I was like a teenager. And I said, this is what happened. They told us the whole story.
Yeah.
There was video from inside the place. So yes, always make sure you face the door.
Okay, so let's talk
including
about
in
sports.
church, because you never know.
Let's talk about sports.
Yeah,
this is a really good question for you that I've been waiting to ask since you confirmed at 8:00 this morning that you were coming on the show. Why can't Nebraska do what Indiana did yesterday?
Why can't Nebraska football do what Indiana football did yesterday?
Yes.
I want to go back real quick and rehash something. Okay, so I heard you talking about some of the players on the Hoosiers.
Yes.
Right. The run that Nebraska had under Bo Pelini, where they had a lot of success. I mean, they went to 3 conference championship games. Okay, you can poo-poo it all you want. But they went to 3 conference championship games.
Sure.
If you look at some of the guys who were on those teams, there are a lot of examples of what you had with Indiana. No one wanted Amir Abdullah to play running back. He had one offer to play running back. Everybody wanted him to play corner. The last first-round pick for Nebraska, Prince Umukamara, he was a running back. Bo gets here because he was recruited under Callahan. Bo gets here, moves him to corner.
Yeah.
He's one of the best corners in Nebraska's history. Ndamukong Suh,
sure,
one of the best players in modern Nebraska football history, came here solely because the engineering department was what he wanted to do, opposed to going to Oregon.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you have to sometimes have a break. Taylor Martinez, who almost broke, if he didn't get hurt in 2013, he breaks almost every single passing, rushing record for the program. He was a safety / wide receiver who they put into the quarterback spot during spring, his redshirt freshman year, and they couldn't stop him. So then he becomes a quarterback.
Sure.
So sometimes you just need to have breaks, right? Sometimes you need to have a guy who nobody else wanted. For example, the cornerback for Indiana, he's 5'9". They're all like, well, you're not big enough to play. Wow. He becomes really good.
Yeah.
So one thing is you got to have breaks.
Yeah.
Right. You got to make your own breaks. You got to spot the talent and be able to put them in position. They got to get good. But beyond all of that, you have to have someone in position who has no problem being an absolute authoritarian when it comes to everything involved. I've always said the number one thing I want from the coach of my team above everything else is to be a disciplinarian. I want discipline.
Yeah.
I want discipline in practices. I want discipline from the team. I want discipline from my coaching staff. I want absolute discipline.
Yeah.
And that's what they have. Cignetti is not, I wouldn't say that he over practices them or anything, but they have to do the exact right thing.
Yeah.
Or you're not going to play.
Sure.
Or you're not going to coach for him. We were talking about this yesterday. Come on, man. Dude's on the spectrum. We know that. He is. He is on the spectrum.
Yes,
there's nothing wrong with that.
There's zero.
There are people, very few people are as focused on this planet as people who are on the spectrum.
I agree.
The reason my wife is alive today is because a doctor who was definitely on the spectrum saved her life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Because he was smart enough and had the urgency enough to get it done. Okay. So we know that. You have to have people who are willing to do that.
Sure.
You also have to have a head coach who is not going to worry about whether or not his defensive coordinator or his special teams coordinator is getting too much pub.
I know.
I mean,
what a wild statement.
That cannot be something that happens. It just cannot be.
So I think it's all great. You make a lot of great points here. Here's the one thing that I'll come back to, where you talk about breaks, and I agree with you. Sometimes you just got to get lucky, man. Like we see it all across the sports, but sometimes you get too many breaks to where I start saying it's skill. You know, like,
you make your own breaks.
Like you make your own breaks, and it's like, and it's not just because I feel like there's this misconception with Indiana that they just all came from JMU, like Omar Cooper, who made that incredible catch against Penn State and then became one of their more dynamic weapons.
Yeah.
That was a guy, he was on Indiana before Cignetti
There's
got
only
there.
like one.
Yeah.
Out of the 24 players that are primary stars, only one of them.
And he's that one. And so they were willing to evaluate him and be like,
And
okay,
keep him.
keep him and like have him around. You go ahead and you look at Charlie Becker, the tight end, who, almost scored a touchdown yesterday and had, two
three
of them.
huge catches, 3.5, by the way, which is over.
We bet him to score a touchdown. And so
we had a 3.5 over.
We were really
catches.
upset when he got turned around.
Yeah.
He's a high school kid.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's the combination of
You
like
guys from Navy, you got guys from JMU,
you
guys
got
from
Notre
Troy,
Dame, Wisconsin,
all over the place.
all
yeah.
over the place.
Yep.
But here's another thing too. I think there's a misconception too about my generation, and especially the guys who are athletes in my generation, because I think we look at Gen Z people and we say, wow, they're entitled, and wow, they just want to be given everything, and they're all participation trophies. I'll tell you, because I grew up with a lot of D1 athletes in hockey, and I grew up around a lot of great athletes, and a lot of my friends end up playing baseball at Michigan State and Northern Illinois. There are a lot of athletes in my generation who hate that generalization that Gen Z athletes are soft, and they want to be pushed, and they want to be told this is what you do, and they want to be coached hard. And you got it. To me, I feel like Curt Cignetti has recruited a lot of those players who have that attitude of we want to be pushed and we want to be challenged and we want to take the next step. And I look at what they've done at Nebraska, and I think the glowing example is Dylan. I don't know if they really pushed Dylan. I think they were so much happier to just have Dylan around and say, hey, we have a 5-star quarterback, opposed to actually being like, nah, dude, you gotta be the first round pick we believe you could be.
One of the biggest falsities when it comes to sports is that you treat everybody the same.
You don't.
Okay, you don't. You got to treat guys differently. In order to make it work with Maurice Washington at Nebraska for the short time that it worked, you had to cater to him differently. Now, because of that, I think there were some people that were on the team, other players, who resented that.
Sure.
And that can cause some problems. But I think every player needs to know. Jimmy Johnson said it best, talking about people falling asleep in a meeting. If some 53rd player on the roster falls asleep in the meeting, I'm cutting him. If Michael Irvin, falls asleep in the meeting, I'm going to wake him up.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to wait for him to wake up. So you have to treat.
That.
So what I'm saying with that was you have to treat sometimes that 5-star a little bit different with some of the things you do. I get that. But at the same time, the guy you should yell at practice is the 5-star.
Yes.
The guy you should be on in the weight room is the 5-star.
Yes.
That way everybody else in the room understands that if you're willing to do it to him, you're willing to do it to anybody
And I think
else.
there's a balance with that too, because you're right. You got to treat guys differently, but there's the balance of treating them differently and not making people despise that player.
Sure. And that's hard to do.
And look at what happened at Ole Miss, man. Like, this is a real story where their players found out how much money everybody else is making, and that got leaked. And, you have guys who are on that roster like, screw that. This new guy who hasn't been a part of this program as long as I have is making more money than me. I'm out of here, man. If you're not going to value me. So that's a whole other, I think, layer that you now have to balance. Like, you have to balance the balance sheet and you have to balance the emotional balance sheet in a way too.
Yeah.
But I think like, and I'm curious to see what you think of this thought. Like, I look at the Indiana sideline and they look locked in. They just look like every player, every coach, and even like they do a great job of zooming in on Cignetti. Like, it's almost as if when he's talking, you can tell that everybody's silent on the other end of the headset. Right. That's aura. That's like being the boss.
It's a complete control.
He is.
And you look at Beck, who multiple times in that game looked incredibly frustrated.
Yeah.
And the one thing from your quarterback has to be, and it's got to be, yes, occasionally you're going to have to yell at some people and get in some people's ass. I get that. But you don't necessarily want to show every time you're miserable and disappointed in the play call.
No.
And he did that a ton.
Yeah.
And he made some throws to help them get back at it. He misread that coverage and didn't realize what was happening and underthrew it. It's funny that
was a far throw, by the way.
In their three losses, they all ended with him throwing interceptions, which is.
Yeah.
But it also showed you that they needed him to win.
Yeah.
I thought that they really misused their run game.
Miami?
For a lot of that game. Yeah, I really do. I thought that, Marty Brown should have played more. I
didn't get that at all.
I would have given Mark Fletcher even more carries. I not necessarily in the middle, but I think the edges and what they could do with that. I was kind of surprised they didn't run the ball as much as I thought they would. That one series where they threw the ball three straight times after coming off of a score by Indiana, I thought that was mismanagement.
I know you loved what Indiana did yesterday, where they just didn't give up on the run.
You cannot give up on the run.
They just did not. They just kept running it.
You're going to eventually tire down the defense, and your system. If you believe in your system, stick with it. Stick with it and make it work.
36 carries from running backs. They only averaged 3.9 yards per carry, but time of possession 35.
Yep.
And then they went 4-4 in the red zone in terms of scoring. Now, not all those were touchdowns, so it's you got to score.
I mean, Miami missed a field goal. Miami had a block punt.
Yeah,
and Miami failed on fourth down.
They played better. You know what? I thought it was going to be a coronation. It wasn't. They had a chance to win the game at the end. It's just Carson Beck thought he was Brett Favre and John Elway. Trying to split the safety in the corner and quarters. Like, what are you doing?
If he throws that ball to the pylon, it's probably a touchdown.
It might.
But that's where it has to go. It's got to get to the pylon.
He was trying to force it instead of feather it or layer that ball.
Yeah.
I still think though you're right. Miami was one of those teams where if Beck went, they went, and I think Indiana they weren't as reliant on that. Now, granted, Mendoza's a dog. You and I got to let you go here because we gotta hit the brakes at the right time. But next
who made
time,
you do that?
What do you mean? We got to hit.
Made you hit brakes at the right time? What station is this?
We have to.
What happened?
This is.
Oh my God! The station I knew.
There's
a new regime.
There's new
rules.
standards and practices.
Bill Maher's here.
But no, when you and I, when we get closer to draft season, when you start getting into your player evals, I think Fernando Mendoza is fascinating.
Well, I thought he was number one at the middle of the season. It's who I wanted the Saints to take. I think he's number one. I think he's got good enough arm strength. I like his mobility.
Doesn't he run funny? Doesn't he? He runs
like a young giraffe.
He runs like a cartoon.
He does.
Like when you took the Fitness Gram Pacer test in like grade school, like they had a little instructions of how it's supposed to look like when you run, where your arms are like flailed out and everything like that. It's 6
to the front, 9 to the rear.
It does.
That's what it is. 6 to the front, 9 to the rear. I didn't know that.
Michael Severe Tuesdays, always and every week here on Middays.
Again,
Matt.
you just keep saying that. It's 2 weeks.
It's
now.
every Tuesday. Every Tuesday. Okay. Michael Severe at 11:30. I'm going to force it upon you.
All right.
He's never not joined us.
We'll be back here
so far.
We got 10 minutes left in the bitching hour. I have a lot of complaints about what the broadcast looked like yesterday on ESPN.
The sound was bad too. Oh,
it was testing. Check.
It was
1,
rough.
2, 3.
Yes,
it was
rough.
tough.
Yeah,
We'll talk to you on the other side of this break.
Now, back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Horse crap call.
You know what was a horse crap call yesterday? The ESPN broadcast of that national championship. First off, that national championship did not feel as big as it should have. You know, there just wasn't. I already felt disconnected from the season, and that's because the season essentially ended 8 weeks ago for most teams in the country, and now we're playing this game on January 19th, and I found
which is the earliest it'll be for
Dude.
the next 5 years.
Las Vegas, January 25th in 2027.
That's
2028, it's on January 24th. On 2029, it's on January 22nd. In 2030, it's on January 21st. The next 4 national championships will all be played in basically the 3rd week of January. It is insane that we have to wait that long to crown a national champion. On top of that, I have a massive complaint here. Not just for ESPN, for all broadcasters, broadcasting out there.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
If you tell me, and not broadcasters individually, media companies. I have complaint for the media companies.
Okay.
If you tell me your kickoff or the game begins at 6:30,
Yeah.
when I plug in at 6:33, we better be in the booth about to send it down to kick the game off. All right?
Not anymore.
Dude, it was 6:33 when I tuned in, and we didn't even have the teams on the field yet.
Nope.
They haven't even sung the national anthem yet. I was like, what are we doing?
Just wait till the World Cup this
Dude,
summer, buddy.
If you tell me that the game is at 6:30, do not kick the game off at 6:52. That's just, I felt like it was a waste of time. Then on top of that,
Matt McMaster, anthem, waste of time.
No.
No.
I'm not saying the anthem is a waste of time. I'm saying
I know.
the 20-minute lead up started at 6:10, so we get all that stuff out of the way, and then when I plug in at 6:33, we're up in the booth with Chris and Kirk. That was ridiculous. And then he had audio problems. The national anthem singer was on a hot mic saying check, 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 check. That was annoying. Holly Rowe got caught on a hot mic on the 4K thing, telling information about Cignetti on the sideline.
I got Michael Irvin's coat.
Yeah.
Go to me. Go to me.
No, actually, she was saying that Curt Cignetti was yelling at the referees and said that they hit Fernando 2 times in the head and then they cut it off right at the juicy bit.
Well, that's what he said.
I know. So the audio was echoing. And also, too, I think twice we went commercial, timeout, commercial, or commercial, kickoff, commercial. That game was like 5 hours. It wasn't actually. It was closer to, it ended around like 10:15.
Yeah.
So kickoff was
actually kind of quick.
3 hours and 25 minutes. It felt like forever. Felt like that game was never ending. But then it ended, and Indiana football is their national champion. Which is crazy.
I did drive to the grocery store towards the end of the first half, almost certain. Okay, when I get back, it's going to be halftime. There was still like 90 seconds left in the first half. I also had to go through it blind because nobody in this town will air the national championship game. Interesting.
Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. All righty. We're halfway done. We are 2 hours into Middays with Matt. We have 2 more hours left.
Show's half over.
Tim Verghese on at 12:30 to talk all about Nebraska, to talk about the draft, to talk about his evaluations, to talk about Indiana football guy. Premier football guy, Tim Verghese, will join us here on 1620 at 12:30. Hey, don't forget, 402-951-1620 is the Prairie Flower Casino hotline if you want to get in on the conversation. And don't forget to email us at the Equitable Bank inbox. Equitable Bank, they take banking personally. Matt at 1620 The Zone. Josh O at 1620 The Zone. We got some NFL. We got some Bill Self. We got some Indiana. We got some Nebraska football and some updates on what's going on. Also, too, Hall of Famers get selected today in the MLB. Will Carlos Beltran, that cheater, will he finally get into the Hall of Fame?
Need an honest guy like Andrew Jones in that hall.
Well, he would be the second lowest batting average of all time in the Hall of Fame, Andrew Jones, if he were to
Hey, he
be
meets
inducted.
the threshold. then.
But 10 gold gloves. Currently, right now, Beltran and Jones are trending to be in. Manny Ramirez and Alex Rodriguez. Those are the two interesting kind of PED situations there. We'll see how they end up on the Hall of Fame ballot. You listen to Middays from that at 1620 The Zone.
Brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. You can get me at mike@1620thezone.com. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox.
Get into Prairie Flower Casino and get more. More of the newest and hottest slot machines, more wins at the PFC Sportsbook, and more action at our live table games. And enjoy your favorite beverages and food at Sky Bar and Grill with more nonstop sports on our wall-to-wall TVs and more of the friendly service you know and love. Play longer, win more at Prairie Flower Casino, minutes north of downtown Omaha. Must be 21. Please bet responsibly.
This season, when the Creighton women's basketball team hits the road, you can hear all the action on either AM 1180 or News Talk 1290 Coil. Creighton women's basketball away games all season on AM 1180 and 1290 Coil.
Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
We had some news float in at a 2 a.m. this morning.
That's never good.
Jimmy Butler reportedly tore his ACL. Tough break for the Golden State Warriors, where maybe they don't trade Jonathan Kuminga now. We'll see what happens there. Butler, very sneakily, Josh Hodgson, like one of the most underrated, I think, guards and players of, what do you want to say, 2015 to now? I mean, people forget.
Classic Bulls guy.
People forget Jimmy Butler has made more NBA finals than Giannis Antetokounmpo and Nikola Jokic. Fun fact for you. He's made 2. Nikola and Giannis have only made 1. People, though, are quick to remind you that he got his ass whooped in both of those finals. One of those finals were against Nikola Jokic.
One was in the bubble, so it doesn't necessarily
Yes,
count.
it does count. It was harder to win in the bubble than in the regular than in regular circumstances. All right? All you LeBron haters out there. Here we go. Nebraska just offered a 2028 tight end out of Brother Rice in Chicago. Look at that.
Oh, okay.
The Huskers getting a little Eastern Suburban Catholic Conference flavor, if you will. Brother Rice, south side of Chicago, kind of in the, I mean, I had family who went there and they were out in Oak Lawn, but it's south side Chicago school. It's all boys, Brother Rice is.
I was told
football powerhouse.
Matt
Brother
Rule
Rice.
had a pipeline to Texas.
Nope. No. They're using the EJ Barthel. Keith Williams posted a picture today of him out in Chicago, of him walking out of a plane. I'm assuming it was the private Nebraska jet.
The PJ?
In Chicago, in the PJ. So they're out there, and they just offered a 2028 tight end who is ranked 79th in the class of 2028. His name is Jack McNamara. God.
Oh, that's a good name.
God, if there was ever a South Side Chicago, name like Jack McNamara is great. Also a great tight end name. I think McNamara is just a great athlete name in general. They also just offered a 2027 Jersey City St. Peter's Prep defensive back, Ryan Wooten Jr. That's another great name. And then here's another offer here. Santana Harvey, 4-star edge out of Lakeland, Florida. So Nebraska making offers today. 1 to an edge out of Florida, 4-star 2027, Santana Harvey, a 2027 DB, Ryan Wooten Jr., and a 2028 tight end from Brother Rice in Chicago, Jack McNamara. So there you go. Making moves. That 2027 class. Man, if they can, that would be. I know a lot of people are heading into next season with a lack of optimism, if you will, and I totally understand that after how the season ended with Nebraska. But I'll say this: they're putting a lot of work into the 2027 class, and if they end up kind of closing on some of these guys that they were tracking on, there's going to be a lot of excitement of what the future could potentially look like, just purely based off the talent that they're being able to recruit. We're going to talk about Tim Verghese, who is locked in on all this stuff and can give us a good gauge. Is Nebraska going to be able to shut the door on some of these highly touted prospects they've been talking to for a while? Obviously, the top guy in everybody's list, tight end Ahmad Hudson, who would be a dual sport basketball, football player, 5-star. He is. It seems like Nebraska's been trending in the right way with Hudson. He was at the battle at the Boneyard. That was that 7-on-7 tournament they did with Trey Taylor. Trey Taylor and Hudson were on the same team together. I was able to go to that event. The chemistry that they had just playing 7-on-7 together was absolutely incredible.
Okay.
And if they end up signing Hudson and they can hold on to Trey Taylor, which all indications are pointing that they will, man, that'd be something, especially if you were there at the battle at the Boneyard, to be excited about. But at the same time, these are all hypotheticals, and we have to focus on the now. And the now is 2026, and the fact that Nebraska went ahead and got 17 transfer portal prospects. I believe they're 22nd, if I'm not mistaken. I could go ahead and look on through the transfer portal rankings.
Yeah, what's your little on-3 thing say?
Let's see. See, it always does this thing where it sends me to 2025. I don't care about 2025.
But living in the past
already
on
happened. Yeah, on 3. Nebraska is ranked 31st, actually, with 16 prospects in. So go ahead. They got Stoudemire out of Boston College. That was kind of the last guy that they've added at this point. Hey, Berberia, what the hell, dude? Josh, you have anything to say for yourself?
Nebraska is a academic institution that
Okay, fair enough.
won't budge on the student part of the student athlete.
Well, good on them, I guess. He ends up going to Clemson, who has the 16th
A fine
highest rate.
school.
Fine school
You'll
of
get a good
academics.
education there. Didn't know they
Yes.
had a portal there, but
They've dipped into the portal big time. Their average rating, their average transporter rating is actually super high. It's 76.6. That's one of the highest marks in the country. The only average rating higher is Notre Dame and Texas. So they've been doing some work over at Clemson, bringing in people. That still was one of the best stats of all time, that the only teams that haven't brought in transfers were the service academies and Clemson, because Dabo is such a stubborn son of a gun. So, all right, let's talk about the NFL.
let's.
10 head coaches got fired, 9 got fired, 1 stepped down. So
Tomato.
nearly a third of the league's coaching opportunities are vacant. A couple have been hired. John Harbaugh going to New York. Kevin Stefanski going to Atlanta. We had 2 get hired yesterday. Jeff Hafley going to Miami. And Robert Saleh going to Tennessee. Mr. Josh Otson, you are our Tennessee Titans fan here at 1620 The Zone.
That's right.
How do you feel about the former New York Jets head coach who went 20-36 in roughly 3.5 seasons as the New York Jet head man?
When I check the resumes, right at the top, it says Robert Saleh.
Yes.
And that isn't Matt Nagy, so I'm very happy. That's where I stand.
That is funny. That is weird, by the way. It seemed like Nagy was a shoo-in to be the guy.
Apparently, the scuttlebutt is the GM was like, we're hiring Matt Nagy. Just everyone get okay with that. And then the ownership group and all the people around the GM were, hey, why don't you talk to everybody and
actually
see if maybe you like a guy more.
Yeah.
And he ended up really liking Robert Saleh.
So here's the thing about this. I'm shocked that Saleh took the job, if I'm being real with you. Tennessee's not a good football team.
It's not.
They have problems from a weapons perspective. They probably got problems from an offensive line perspective. Cam Ward was running for his life the entire season. The defense, isn't all that much better. And you have an ownership group and a GM that, like you just kind of mentioned, seemed pretty disconnected. And an ownership group that had Mike Vrabel in the building. And everybody told them,
that's right,
don't fire that guy.
Let him have whatever he wants.
That guy is awesome at his job. It would be a mistake if you were to fire that guy. And the ownership group said, nah, we're going to take Brian Callahan instead.
This is my team. I will not lose a power struggle to the coach.
So Brian Callahan gets fired, and Mike Vrabel is currently coaching in the AFC Championship game, for those who are wondering.
Soon to be Super Bowl.
So with that kind of discombobulation happening at Tennessee,
$100 million in cap, though.
Yeah. Here's my thing. If you don't have a good owner and you don't have a good GM, immediately I think, no. Like there's 3 combinations for me. I'm looking at owner, GM, and quarterback. You have to have 2 of the 3. You got a good owner and you got a good quarterback. They're going to find a way to either be so good that they'll outperform the GM, or eventually the owner will, hey, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get rid of this GM. We'll bring in someone who will tailor your roster. You have a good GM and a good quarterback, but a bad owner. Well, if everybody is just really good at football, the football is just good, you can just overcome the incompetencies that are happening from the head person, okay? Kind of happened in Chicago this year, So that's now, if you have a good quarterback, so what am I missing? If you have a good GM and a good owner, but not a good quarterback, that's tough. That'd be tough. You'd be crossing your fingers, being like, I hope we figure this out. So maybe that's an advantage for Saleh going to Tennessee, because it seems like they have the quarterback figured out.
That's what people keep telling me.
But I just think with Saleh, like, I was surprised. I thought he would take at least 1 more year, coordinate a really good defense in San Francisco, because Robert Saleh, for all the shortcomings that occurred in New York, was a good defensive coordinator. He knew what he was doing as a DC. I mean, the 2 seasons they went 7-10, they had a top 5 scoring defense and a top 12 scoring defense. Like they were on it. And so if the guy can do anything, he can captain a defense. And so I thought that maybe he would go back for another year, do a good job in San Francisco, and essentially create himself to be the belle of the ball and have kind of, any job that he wanted, kind of had first pick, potentially, if he ends up doing a good job as the DC at San Francisco. I'm just very surprised that he took this job and he put himself in this potential situation where you don't have a good owner, you don't have a great GM. There's a disconnect clearly between the two sides, and you have a roster that, great point, Josh, they have a lot of cap space and they have the number 4 overall pick in the draft this season, but you're fighting through a lot. And I think you could have become, you could have stayed as the DC for one more season in San Francisco and made yourself more of a wanted coaching prospect. And
maybe he had to want, I got to get away from this electric plant or whatever.
Yeah,
It's right next to the stadium.
Crazy. That's still a crazy story. That's still a wild story. But with Saleh, like I don't want to talk out of my ass here.
Never stopped you before.
Thanks, Josh. But I can't really tell you too many coaches off the top of my head that get a third shot at being a head coach of the NFL.
Oh, okay.
Like typically,
that's a way to look at it.
Typically, most guys get 2.
Mhm.
You get 2 cracks at the kitty. If you fail once and then maybe you go ahead, you perform as a DC, you learn some lessons, you get hired again. But if you fail again, I honestly can't tell you off the top of my head too many guys that have been hired a third time. And to get fired from 2 different jobs is definitely a red flag of like, well, clearly you didn't learn anything the first time. So it's just interesting to me, if you're looking at it from that perspective of, this might be his last shot to be a head coach. I don't know, man. I don't think Tennessee was that intriguing of a. I'll say this:
Romeo Crennel got 3 cracks.
That's wow. That's something.
Idiots.
But here's the thing, Josh. Like there are jobs that are definitely worse than Tennessee. Okay, there are jobs though that are better than Tennessee. Like I think that Atlanta job is such a wildly interesting job to me. They got a lot of really good young. I think Kevin Stefanski got lucky. I think he was very fortunate. And I think it's a good hire from Atlanta because if Stefanski knows how to do anything, it's trying to make chicken salad out of chicken crap. And, Michael Penix Jr., the jury is still fully out, but I think we're trending more so toward this isn't going to work out. And you got to remember, he's already an old prospect to begin with. So it's not as if you're afforded as much time as opposed to having, dudes that are 23 years old or 22 years old or anything like that. So we'll go back to the phone lines here. John wants to talk about the Titans job. John, are you vibing with me or are you pushing back a little?
No, I'm vibing.
Okay.
I've been a Houston Oilers / Tennessee Titan fan since 1976. In that year, I had a choice. I liked 2 teams in 1976, and I liked Earl Campbell for the Oilers, and I also liked Sam Bam Cunningham from the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, was that stupid decision. Could I be a Patriots fan or an Oilers fan? Well, I'm going to be an Oilers fan. Anyway, I've been suffering since. Anyway, the GM for the Titans had a new GM last year.
Yeah.
He wasn't the one that got rid of Vrabel, which
No. Borgonzi didn't get rid of Vrabel. You're right.
Right. So Borgonzi's got some pretty good pedigree. I mean, he's with New England, he's with the Chiefs. So hopefully the guy knows what some good players look like. And the Titans got like the largest cap space available. So they're going to be signing some players, and I'm hoping for a little comeback here. I think maybe there's a chance we might see them in the playoffs. Maybe not next year, but the year after.
Yeah. I will see. I mean, and I appreciate the call, John. NFL free agency is kind of weird. There are teams that can hit it out of the park and do really well, but I don't think it's like NBA free agency where you can completely turn. Or let me correct myself here. It is doable. You can do it. New England did it this year with Milton Williams and their defense. They went out and they signed some really high quality players, and they got a great coach, and they were able
They
to.
had a ton of cap room.
They
too,
had
right?
a lot. Yes, they
I
had
was trying to
plenty
think of the
cap room.
team that the last offseason that had the.
Do you know who had a lot of cap room was the Chicago Bears, and they went ahead and they got Tooney and they got Jonah Jackson and they got Drew Dalton, and they fixed that interior offensive.
That could be me next year.
So it could, things. Yeah, I mean, it could happen. It could happen. I think the offensive coordinator hire, is going to have to be spot on. Can I interest you in this? Because I don't think he's going to get a head coaching job. I don't know if I necessarily agree with it. I'm a big fan of his, frankly. You want to ask Mike McDaniel to be your OC for a season?
I would allow that.
Hey, Mike, we got this guy. His name's Cam Ward. He's pretty good. Needs some structure. Needs some guidance.
He needs you.
But you can pitch him. Hey, we're going to go ahead. We'll draft defense, and then we'll have a lot of money, and we can go and get a wide receiver. Now, frankly, I'm more into the draft right now than I am in NFL free agency. I haven't dove my head into that pool.
I'm looking at the top 50 free agents.
Okay,
right now.
give me the top 5.
Okay. This is from CBS Sports, so it's their opinion, not mine. George Pickens, Trey Hendrickson,
Okay.
Danny
Wow.
Dimes, Jalen Phillips, Tyler Linderbaum.
Okay. Do they say whether they're like because some of these guys can get tagged,
I don't have that information.
Okay. Well, Hendrickson was obviously that'll be very interesting to see where he ends up. You said one name on there. God blessed. Say the 5 again.
Jalen Phillips.
Yes, that guy. He got traded from Miami to Philadelphia. He will be wildly interesting to see where he ends up. Another domino here to talk about, because he might end up being the Miami Dolphins quarterback. Malik Willis is going to be, when it comes to quarterbacks, belle of the ball. Okay? Him and we cannot forget, Danny Dimes is out there too. So it might be an interesting little situation that we found ourselves in with some potential quarterback battles. Who gets challenged? What do they? Does Arizona sign one of those guys? Does Miami sign one of those guys? What does the next head coach of Arizona want to do? What is the next head coach of, here's the team, the Pittsburgh Steelers? What do they want to do? I mean, that's it's funny. They have kind of the third one I talked about. A really good front office and a really good ownership group, and they don't have the quarterback. And the only shot that they took really at getting a quarterback for Pittsburgh was small hands Kenny Pickett.
People forget.
People do forget how small his hands were. So they were tiny baby hands Pickett, if you will.
In a glove.
Jeff Hafley is the DC, the former DC of the Green Bay Packers. He's now going to Miami. It's one of those things where I said it before at the beginning of the show. You're hired, like 10 coaches are going to get hired this year. I accidentally exited the StreamYard. My apologies. 10 coaches are going to get hired this year. So you're kind of going to, like, one of these guys is going to hit. One of these guys is going to be good. Like, you're not going to go 0 for 10. Like somebody's going to end up being a great hire and leading a team to the playoffs, or, maybe even end up winning a Super Bowl and everything like that. But it's just like, how big of a needle mover are some of these guys? I don't know if I would necessarily call Jeff Hafley a needle mover, because his last head coaching job that he had was at not even the NFL. It was in Boston College, and it's not as if he had a great amount of success over there. He ended up having to leave Boston College and go to Green Bay to kind of work his career up to eventually be a head coach. I think what he did at Green Bay, especially this season with a lot of the injuries that they suffered, was quite impressive. Do I think that he is this massive upgrade over Mike McDaniel? No, I don't think so. Like, I think what I talked about yesterday, the definition of insanity is kind of doing the same thing over and expecting different results. And once again, Miami dips into we're going to take the hot coordinator as opposed to taking the wily veteran. And then they course corrected because they've done the thing that some bad franchises do where they go, hey, we hired an offensive coach and we were great at offense, but we sucked at defense. Well, defense is the problem. Let's hire a defensive head coach, and then we're going to suck on offense and fire his ass and then hire an offensive head coach. So I like Hafley. as a coordinator, and I don't think I necessarily have a problem with him getting hired. I just more so have a problem with like teams doing the same thing over and over again. And once again, the Miami Dolphins have decided, hey, there's a sexy coordinator that, I don't think McDaniel had any head coaching experience before he took the Dolphins job. Hafley has had head coaching experience, granted, wasn't very successful at Boston College, henceforth why he had to leave to the NFL. So, I think we said in the tweet promoting the show that I was underwhelmed. I was underwhelmed by the head coaching hires that have been made so far. The thing is, Josh, is that we went into this process knowing that this was going to be a fairly underwhelming head coaching process. You didn't have the Mike Vrabel out there. You didn't have the Ben Johnson out there. You didn't have the Liam Cohen out there. You had
Feels a little more retready.
It's recycling. We're recycling here. Stefanski's a recycle hire. Salah's a recycle hire. John Harbaugh, now granted, rightfully so, should be hired right away, but it just we haven't had a ton of those, man, this is the hot new coordinator and he's been killing it. I think people thought that Cliff Kingsbury would be that this cycle, but he went to Washington and went back to Washington with the second year with Jaden Daniels, and Daniels ended up getting hurt and kind of derailed that situation. And now I have no idea what's going to happen with Matt Nagy, but he was damn near close to getting another head coaching job, and that would be a recycle hire as well. So
I hope he didn't pack his stuff up.
I mean, he left his position at Kansas City. His position has been filled by Eric Bieniemy. So we'll see what happens. But it's been an interesting cycle. We'll see who else gets hired. All right, interesting conversation coming up as always. Tim Verghese talking everything Husker recruiting, Husker evaluations, and Indiana football coming up next here with Middays with Matt.
Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone. Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Middays with Matt here on 1620 The Zone, and we bring on one of the best in the business, recruiting / football writer for Nebraska rivals, Mr. Tim Verghese. Tim, how are you, my friend?
Hey, how we doing, guys?
Good to talk to you. How was your college football national championship viewing experience yesterday? Because I have a question for you, and I wonder if you feel the same way. I just felt a little disconnected from the game because it felt like the season's been over for so long, and it's just taken way too much time to get to that final game. Did you kind of feel the same way? And is there anything that we could do from a calendar perspective to fix this?
Yeah, so I do think there was a little bit of that for me. Like, I mean, for example, like I had, my plan set out of, just like literally like a week and a half ago, had planned out on making like an A2 phase on Monday night, and was all ready to do that, and looked up and I was like, oh, we're gonna have people over. It's the national championship. I want to have to make this for like more people than just me. So
sure,
yeah, definitely caught me a little, just the timing of it of being like, oh yeah, it's Monday, it's the national championship. But I mean, actually watching the game, I loved. I mean, I thought it was the national championship we deserved. I like that we got a competitive matchup. I like that, and at the end of the day, it still ended in the certainties we know, which is that Carson Beck is who he is, and Indiana is. I mean, just from a game management standpoint and from a program standpoint, this was the best team in the country. They kind of proved it all year. Their one close win, they got that back and kind of left no doubt the second time around. But I mean I would say this, I think we can adjust the calendar where ideally we adjust the calendar where this moves back up and it's not this late in the year. I wouldn't have my hopes up for that though. I kind of think at least the chatter I've heard, and this has been for some time now, is the goal has always been for the championship to land maybe even the weekend before the Super Bowl, if not the Monday before the Super Bowl. But they wanted to kind of line up where the Super Bowl gets the 3-day weekend and the week before they play the national championship.
I hate to hear that. I hate to. I don't know. I don't think the sport should be a 2-semester sport, and we already have just so much stuff going on in January, with the transfer portal and everything. I think it's just too much. And we got to start thinking of quality of life too with some of these people. Like, I understand a lot of these coaches are making a ton of money, Tim, but like, that's a lot of sleep they're missing out on. And that's a lot of work that they're doing and a lot of things that they're juggling. And it's just, I think the stress of that month, especially the last couple of weeks of December and then the whole month of January. And then even on top of that, guys like you who have to write and report on all this stuff, like I'm sure that there's been no shortage of just kind of burnout for you personally.
Oh, I mean, listen, I'm of anybody here, I'm deserving of the least sympathy. I work a heck of a job. I can't really complain. But no, I mean, it's definitely been one of those things where, like, even talking with, I mean, just not just at Nebraska, but everywhere, just talking with coaches and agents and recruiting personnel, just reaching out this week and being like, oh man, a little downtime, coming out of this busy, kind of portal window. And everyone's just like, nope, I mean, we're still kind of working on this 27 class and round out this 26 class and trying to see if we have anything in the, like this, it just doesn't stop. And everyone's kind of looking forward to this February dead period where I think everyone's going to get an opportunity to just step away from things for a bit and really take some time off. But, we'll be right back into it by the end of Feb with spring ball. And then March, we get back into visits. Like there's a better way to do this where we aren't just like throwing everybody into like everything all at once. And then there's just nothing happening for stretches at a time. Like we can balance this out a little bit.
All right, Tim, you mentioned it, the 2027 class. You've been working today. You've posted, retweeted a lot of tweets. Nebraska offered a 2027 defensive back from New Jersey, from St. Peter's Prep. They've actually dipped into Don Bosco, which is a big powerhouse in terms of football recruiting in the country. They're also located in New Jersey. Nebraska also dipped their toe in the 2028 class go ahead. Jack McNamara, the brother Rice tight end, once again trying to get into that Chicago pool. Brother Rice of power over there on the south side of Chicago. Let's just get a full update here. Let's do a car wash of, well, how does the 2027 class look right now? I know this is kind of the class that when, people are reporting on Nebraska, we've all circled because of Trey Taylor and the other developments that they've had with top prospects. Where are we standing right now with Nebraska and their trend on getting some talented players to Lincoln in the class of 2027?
Yeah, so the big weekend you're really looking at in the very near future is going to be Jan 31st. That's going to be their big junior day weekend. I mean, Trey Taylor's already going to be in town. Matt Erickson, Tay Elliott, top commits are already in town. Ahmad Hudson already on the schedule, expected in town. Duvay Williams, number 4 corner in the country, expected in town. Expecting actually a pretty good corner or DB group in town. Some top linebacker targets. I'm very curious to see who they get along the defensive line, kind of who they prioritize with Corey Brown and Roy Manning taking over that unit. Offensively, expecting a pretty solid offensive line group. And then receivers, obviously, they're still trying for a few. They're trying for a few guys. In addition to having Tate committed, they're still working there. Running back, they have a commit. They're working on the second one. Have a few irons in the fire there as well. I'll say this. I think they needed, it would have been, in terms of momentum and really building and pushing for this top 5 class that they want.
Mm-hmm.
Getting to that 8th, 9th win in this fall would have really helped that effort. But that said, I think everyone, there was a ton of these top 27 targets were in town for that USC game. They saw in real time, where that game was trending and then post Dillon injury and how the season kind of unraveled from there. But they were there in the moment. They saw, kind of where this program's trending. I think it's really important right now. Nebraska has some of their best recruiters and relationship builders at some of these positions. They need to get some big wins at the cycle. I think Addison Williams is doing a really good job. I think Tequila Shorts is doing a really good job. And then Corey Brown's getting to work along the defensive line. Chief Wade has some prior relationships from his time at Georgia Tech. Pair that with Lonnie Teasley's relationship at South Carolina. They're working along the offensive line. Jeep actually went and stopped through to see Jordan Agbanoma, who's a monster offensive lineman from Grayson High School out there in Georgia, another powerhouse program out there. But that's a dude who, that's a people mover. He gets hands on you, you're moving backwards. He's got, the who's who of the SEC after him. But that's one where there's prior relations. Nebraska already had him on campus. He's quite familiar with Nebraska, big fan of Nebraska. And has already visited Georgia Tech, already visited South Carolina when Teasley and Wade were there, respectively. And so now all those guys are kind of working together at Nebraska to recruit him. That's going to be one I would keep an eye on. They're back in the mix, at least, in the conversation for Mark Matthews, 5-star offensive tackle. In the conversation for 5-star offensive tackle, Kennedy Brown. Offensive line, I think, is where you're going to see some of these big splash moves here in this cycle. They want to make some big additions. They're pushing for some big additions there. The other position I would say I'm looking for really big splashes would be defensive line and secondary. This is where, Corey Brown hasn't had to win any of these big boy recruitments just yet, but he's a proven developer. Can he go out and win some of these recruitments with the help of Anthony Johnson and Keith Williams and Philip Simpson and some of the guys on staff? That's going to be my big question for the cycle.
Tim, this is a tough question because I think everybody's trying to find the answer to it. But, you're great at player evaluation and you take a lot of pride in watching tape and, trying to find some things in guys. And I think that the team that at this point has established themselves as the best developers and evaluators in the country is the team that won the national championship in Indiana. And I think it's been profound that they've been able to take guys that a lot of people looked over. Right. A lot of guys that people looked over from Cal, from Ohio, from JMU, obviously, and even, getting some high school players as well. It'll be hard for you or hard for anyone really to find out what the secret sauce is. But are there trends or aspects of Indiana's roster building that teams are trying to emulate or copy in a way?
Yeah, I don't think it's any secret. Cignetti himself and even I think the defensive coordinator as well have gone on tangents about, this is a change of direction sport. This is a toughness sport. This is it's about how well you bend and change directions. And so much of it is the knee bend, the hip. And it's been something I've sat on for a while of just something I personally prioritize a lot, like hip fluidity, knee bend, ankle flexibility, all that stuff for me really matters in my evaluations. It doesn't matter the position. they are like fully on that. Like they are just fully like, we want tough players that bend, that change directions well, they're explosive. We can coach the other stuff. We can develop the other stuff. I think that's the thing that I think gets missed, I think, with them compared to other development type programs or these programs that try to do try to do it in the same way. On top of getting these, like, okay, they have all of these things we're looking for. At the very core, they're all good football players. Like, they're all like top football players. They may not be in the position they're going to play in college and high school. They may not, be maximized as players or anything, but they are truly like, they're all at their very core contributing football players at their high school program that, like want to compete and have that desire to compete. I mean, D'Angelo Pons was a guy when he was in the portal coming out of, I believe, James Madison. He had some legit power force in the mix. There were a bunch of people really pushing for him to get some looks elsewhere. Ultimately, would he have gone anywhere besides Indiana? But I heard multiple Power 4 teams straight up be like, well, no, we like the tape, but he's too small.
Sure.
That guy's, that guy's incredible. You know what I mean? Upton Stout was another one who drafted by the 49ers in the, I think, second round last year. That was a guy who he was at North Shore on the North Shore team that had multiple 5-stars and 4-stars, and I was banging on the table for him to get offered. Ended up in North Texas, bounced around, finished out his career at Western Kentucky. Ended up in the second round pick. Never grew, you know what I mean?
Sure,
Still the same small DB that Power 4 teams didn't want to recruit, but like, if you can play football, you can play football. I think it just comes down to that, like being very smart, very deliberate in your evaluations, and never letting. Okay, at the very core, we want guys that bend well, that change directions well, and are tough, competitive football players. If you have that, if all of you guys have those core things, you're going to be a pretty good football team.
Let's add another layer to that too. The average experience, so the average year of experience for Indiana starters was 3.86 years. So not only, you're right, they got guys who can change direction, they got guys who are tough, got guys who played a lot of football, who've been in a lot of those situations.
I think that's part of the, like, again, good football player conversation where it's like, okay, if you're going to take guys out of the portal that are jumping up a level or like, you have to kind of squint to see it. Have they at least produced? Or is this a guy that has been like kind of stashed on the bench or working in a rotation role, or have they produced? Do we see him do things on tape that we think can translate up to this level?
Sure, and like it'll be interesting, Tim, because I think, and you'll have a great perspective on this. Like very early on in the transfer portal cycle, we were obsessed with the former 4-star who has 3 years of eligibility left, right? Or the former 5-star where they never really got on the field, but hey, they have a ton of talent. It'll be interesting to see if we start seeing more shifts. Have we seen that shift in this transfer portal cycle of 2026 of more teams kind of honing in on experience-based players as opposed to what the high school recruiting rankings were saying?
Yeah, I think somewhat. I mean, you look at what I think specifically what Nebraska did in the secondary. FIU corner, Towson safety. Not class editions by any means, but these are guys that have produced, have played a lot of football, and are going to factor into the rotation. Are capable of, at the very least, again, elevating the floor of that room. And you're seeing that elsewhere too. I actually do think this is a cyclical sport. We've had everyone move to spread, and now we're moving back to condensed sets, and everyone's running the ball. It's a cyclical sport and everything. Everyone is now looking for this next, big. I mean, after Trinidad, now that's kind of the big thing. It's like, okay, what quarterback are we looking at that can make the jump? What value? When everyone looks for that, though, all of a sudden you end up in these bidding wars. You saw some of that this cycle where guys, there was some shock at some, Andy Burberry is, I think, one, for example, where it's like, well, JUCO guys weren't getting this type of money before. Like, all of a sudden, there's like this bidding war for a JUCO D line because everyone's looking for, this talent at a value. But you get to a certain point where all of a sudden it's like, well, there's not even a value there because this has turned into a bidding war. Actually, what I think what's been interesting is you're seeing some of the value pop up in some of these guys that are at their program for a year or two, maybe didn't play, but they come with rave reviews from the program they were at. Like, we're really good practice players there, have good practice tape, and kind of slip under the top of the radars, and they end up at, like a Big 12 program or an ACC program, or even like a Big 10 or mid-level SEC program, where they have an opportunity to maybe see the field a little more. and that program gets a contributor, like a day one contributor at relative value, because there just isn't tape out there that guys can be like, oh, we're going to pay this guy this much based on tape. He might just be a 3-star or like a low 4-star, but that's really where your value is now.
Okay, that's an interesting. That's so interesting to me. That you kind of we haven't been doing this long enough for us to really have a full grasp on what the markets look like, and so it's very reactionary, right? You bring up that point with Trinidad Chambliss, right? One player now has propped up the market for really good Division II or JUCO quarterbacks, right? And yet, some of these guys, they're going to think, oh, he played great in JUCO, so did Trinidad, we should go and get, or played great in D2, so did Trinidad, let's go and get him. At the same time, you still got to make a proper evaluation and realize, hey, maybe it's just not good enough, right? And so then that gets you in trouble. Let's talk, and this is my last question for you here, because we're running out of time, and today's the last day essentially to enroll into classes at the University of Nebraska. So my first question, just two quick questions: Are the Huskers done? Are they officially set, or is there someone that they can add? And what's the running? Is the running back position? Is that what it is at this point? Is it just going to be Nelson, Mosey, and Eyes for next season?
I think the running back room is kind of what it is at this point, unless there's something out there like a creative Makai Nelson-esque ad from 2 cycles ago where a guy pops up over the summer like Makai kind of did, and you're able to get him on campus in a creative way. No, I mean, even in the portal too, like, there's one recruitment out there I'm kind of monitoring, but it just kind of, the timing I don't think is going to ultimately work out for Nebraska. It's not even really a position of need. This would be one of those, like I said, kind of stash and develop kind of guys. But that's really about it where we're at this point. And that would be in the secondary really, but like that's really about it at this point. They, if there's someone out there that as they continue to assess the market, there's going to be some guys in the portal that are going to continue visiting through March and probably won't enroll at their new school till the summer. So there's, maybe some flexibility there, maybe something where Nebraska, evaluates and sees if there's an opportunity to add defensive linemen that way. But I mean, they're pretty much at where they're at. I think all the focus now is going to be on Dylan Behrman, trying to close with him, the top uncommitted high school defensive lineman, top uncommitted high school recruit in the country in the 26th cycle, and for sure the top uncommitted D lineman. That's a plug and play type player who's going to contribute, who's capable of contributing in year one. But I still would think they need a little more. So I'm really curious to see kind of what they turn to, because they've been creative in adding talent to this roster before. They just have to get really creative now, because everyone's evaluating JUCO ranks and trying to find this little edge to add talent. Like, I mean, I said it earlier, but like if you're a 300-pound defensive tackle, or 300-pound defensive lineman, you just entered the portal, you were going to get a rate, like almost certainly going to get a rate.
Yeah, that's crazy, but it's the world we live in, right? And so you do a great job in reporting on it, Tim. Thank you as always. We'll talk to you next Tuesday, my friend.
Yes, sir. Talk next week.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. Tim Verghese, one of the best in the business. And you can find his stuff. He's on part of the On3 and Rivals, combination there, but doing some great work on Nebraska recruiting. You can follow him. Don't forget to follow Tim Verghese on Twitter. It's just at Tim Verghese, TimVerghese. One of the best, comes on this show every single Tuesday to give you what you need to know about recruiting. I'm going to give you what you need to know about the MLB Hall of Fame coming up next year on Middays with Matt.
Now, back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Nothing mid about today's day. It's a fun day here on Middays with Matt. It's Fun Tuesday. Indiana, your national champions of college football. I'm sorry, I can't help but chuckle just a little bit when I say that because it's just such a ridiculous statement that I never really thought I'd say. But hey, it's the NIL era, baby. Anything is possible, like Kevin Garnett once said.
I remember that.
Yes, I remember that too. I was 6, but I do remember that. I also do remember Cleveland. This is for you. It is a Tuesday. That means that we have some big college basketball tonight. Indiana takes on Michigan on the Peacock at 6 o'clock. That'll be a very big game. Also, don't forget to tune in Vandy versus Arkansas. Vanderbilt lost once again, this time to Florida. So they've dropped 2 games
I don't even take
this season.
Seriously.
Well, they did start the year. They started the year with 16-0, and then they lose to Texas on the road, and then they were at home. I hate watching games at Vanderbilt. That broadcast is so weird, and like the benches are like not facing the hard cam. It's a pain in the ass. Texas Tech though, they play Baylor, and Kansas plays Colorado tonight in college basketball. So those should be some pretty good games. Also, well, what to watch? I don't want to spoil it, but there was a Netflix documentary that got released today about a certain sport.
It's on there.
Okay, I cannot wait to have a quick conversation about that. Hey, the MLB Hall of Fame, we will find out the ballots today. So there's like a ballot tracker here that we can track all the ballots and whatnot and like what we can project. So at this point, Carlos Beltran is projecting to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and so is Andrew Jones. I believe this is Jones' 8th time. You only get 10 shots to get into the Hall of Fame. He's been trending in that direction. So right now, it seems like Beltran and Jones, if not going into the Hall of Fame this year, will go into the Hall of Fame next year. Carlos Beltran, I don't know, a very widely respected person in the game of baseball. Was hired only a couple of years after retiring to be the manager of the New York Mets, but he never got to manage one game because his name was directly one of the only players named in the Houston Astros scandal as being a key part in all of that. And so his career, like many others' careers, and even 2 guys that we'll talk about, has been kind of stained by cheating in his career. Yet he has the total prerequisites to be a Hall of Famer: 279 batting average, 435 home runs, over 1,500 RBIs across 20 seasons, made the All-Star teams 9 times. Andrew Jones, fan favorite, one of the best. 254 batting average. That'd be the second lowest all time if he were to get inducted into the Hall of Fame. But 10 Gold Gloves?
Yeah.
Josh Hudson, something ridiculous like that. One of the
10 Gold Gloves, 400 home runs.
Yeah. Well, 434 is the official number with 1,289 RBIs. So at this point with our tracker, it seems like Beltran is basically in, and Jones is going to be close, but it seems like he's trending to be to be going in that direction. Here's one to keep an eye on, though. See where Chase Utley ends up. So he got 39.8% of the vote last season. Right now, he's trending to get 67.9% of votes this season. Now, granted, these trackers are typically a little bit ahead of the curve. So typically you reduce percentages. It's kind of rare for them to be behind. So he could be in the 62, 63 range. But this is a guy who, in his first go around, Chase Utley only had like 11 more votes to be put on the ballot next season. So he's now trending in the right direction. So see where he ends up. Could be a guy that in the next couple of years gets his name into the MLB Hall of Fame. But Beltran and Jones, and then as always, we'll be tracking our PED guys and Manny Ramirez and Alex Rodriguez to see if they are going to trend to the point where they eventually get in the Hall of Fame, probably toward the end of the amount of times that they're allowed to be on the ballot. So that is your MLB Hall of Fame update. I love the MLB Hall of Fame.
Turn my mic on. It's a special day for.
It's one of those things where it's just I hate the Basketball Hall of Fame. I can't stand it. There are too many people in it.
You ever held a basketball? You're in.
We toss them out like participation trophies. Like, and even the NFL, they're definitely closer to being the Baseball Hall of Fame than the NBA Hall of Fame, but there's nothing like the Baseball Hall of Fame. And I know that the writers are nerds, and they are like, they think they're gifts from above when it comes to baseball.
We're the gatekeepers of the game.
But I do think it adds an interesting element to it all. That there are all these baseball nerds who, some of which have never held a bat before, who get to decide
It was too heavy, Matt.
They get to decide which Goliaths of our game are allowed to be honored and immortalized in the Baseball Hall of Fame. That's always an interesting aspect of this whole thing. I would rather have a sport I love be closer to being the Baseball Hall of Fame than being the Basketball Hall of Fame. The Basketball Hall of Fame seems like just a participation trophy. But hey, we still say congratulations to a lot of the people that end up getting there. This is not breaking news, but interesting from On3 and a retweet from Greg Smith. Duke is suing star QB Darian Mensah. The Blue Devils claim he signed an NIL deal and must remain with the program. Mensah had entered the transfer portal. So here's another case of litigation happening over quarterbacks that apparently weren't signed contracts and weren't supposed to enter the portal anyway. We remember with DeMond Williams, we were threatening litigation there until he went back in the portal to Washington. So Mensah is now getting sued by the state of North Carolina County of Durham Duke University. So that should be interesting to track. It says here in July 2025, Mensah signed a multi-year contract with Duke University that ends on December 31st, 2026, and which provides Duke a number of rights, including exclusive rights throughout the term of Mensah's name, image, and likeness with respect to higher education of football. It says that in December 2025, Mensah affirmed his commitment to Duke University. Then a few hours before the National College Athletic Association deadline for student athletes in football to initiate notification to transfer, Mensah reversed. That is way too many words to say that you entered the transfer portal.
Great take by you.
Then a few hours before just a few hours before the portal opened, Mensah entered. That's all you got to write. All this judicial jargon.
Him go portal.
There you go. We should write more like cavemen. That'd be entertaining. What if we did like a cavemen blog?
Be quicker.
Indiana win. Miami lose. Carson Beck bad.
Husker fan feels sad.
Matt Rule no develop.
I like this.
Yes. That would be an odd news site, which is on brand because the odd news is up next here on Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I mean, I can start it. If
I
you want.
forget. It's my show with my name on it, and I have to introduce you, Josh Hodson. It's time for the odd news, my friend. Go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Friends. Well.
Hello.
I hope.
Hell. Oh wait.
Oh.
Wait. I went honk honk.
Yeah.
I'm a honk honk for the odd news, brother.
Yes.
Dude, I'm just pressing buttons, man.
I can't believe they gave you your own show.
Like I want to kill myself, jump in the cold and die of frostbite.
That's how Josh Hodson feels after those 8 bites. All right, Josh, let's read the odd news.
I hope Bet-Free Mike is listening because
he is listening. He's down here. He's down here in the chat.
Okay, well, this one's for him. He might need to get some literature to this gentleman. I don't have a lot of details. I apologize, but I do have a tweet from a man who used to own a food truck.
Oh, okay.
I will read the tweet in its entirety.
Okay.
Miami man sold his food truck and bet $30,000 on the Miami Hurricanes and the over to win $150,000. Quote, easiest lock of 2026.
Oh, my God.
And just, you know, this is an account that has quite a few followers. It posts, hey, I'm going to be in this corner of Miami this week. I'm going to be in this corner of Miami. Come see me. Let's do this. Let's get some food in your belly. He posted the bet slip for a 2-leg parlay.
No.
Somebody placed this bet, and now he's out a food truck and money to buy a new food truck. But I have a sneaking suspicion someone will donate a food truck.
I just can't. I can't. I enjoy betting.
You do?
I enjoy gambling. Okay. I can never imagine though. Like I bet the most I've ever bet on a game was I got a bonus bet that was like $80.
Hello.
And I was sweating it. Like I really wanted.
It's not fun.
Dude,
like, when it gets that high.
$30,000. What the hell are we doing?
Yeah, no.
That is way too. Like I don't know why you would put yourself through that stress.
You'd be living and dying on every.
Because maybe it's me too, where it's like I'm a bit of a control freak. Like I just can't. Like I hate flying on planes because I'm not flying the plane. You know. I would hate to take a bus because I would prefer to be driving it. You know. Now the thing I do trust is trains. Like I just feel like trains are pretty set. I don't mind a train ride. But I like being in control. Okay.
I have some things for you to Google after this segment.
No.
In the break.
No, stop it. But at the same time, I just can't imagine putting that amount of money on anything and it not being in your control.
And
it's so bad. I sweat $40 bets. 30,000 is crazy.
Bet-Free Mike was already on it. He is aware of this story and getting the man the literature he needs.
I still have the pamphlet. I never got rid of the pamphlet,
Good.
Mike. Thank you for sending it to me.
Never know when you're going to need it. You know how some people look like other people and we generally are too polite to say it publicly?
Twins?
No.
I'm kidding.
Well, the Phoenix Suns were in Brooklyn last night to take on the Nets.
What, Michael Porter Jr. and Devin Booker
No.
had a look-alike contest?
They do not look alike. And Nets analyst Tim Capstraw gave voice to what everyone has been thinking for years. Grayson Allen looks like Ted Cruz. Capstraw just reached a personal milestone of calling 2,000 consecutive Nets games. Congratulations. It's a tough business to break into. It's even tougher to stay in, but 2,000 consecutive Nets games. Wow. That's called torture. Only like 7 of them mattered.
I think prisoners of war have been through more pain than 2,000 Brooklyn Nets games. When was the last Brooklyn Nets game that mattered?
I mean, they went to the finals that one time with Keith Van Horn.
Yeah, probably the game where Kevin Durant's toe was on the line.
Yeah.
And they ended up losing to the Milwaukee
That was
Bucks.
another run too. Sure.
2,000 Brooklyn Nets games. I can think of 1,000 things I would rather do than ever do that. That is wild.
But he was on the Yes Network last night with Ryan Rococo or whatever his name is from ESPN. I don't know how to say it. Okay.
Yes.
So let's have some fun with it. And he doesn't lean over, but he says it on the broadcast. I can't look at him and not think of Ted Cruz, which is probably not the place you want to go during a professional basketball broadcast.
Grayson Allen is still in the league, and Luka Garza is having a good year, by the way. Have you followed this at all?
Have I followed Luka Garza's NBA season? No, I have not.
That was a dumb question. But Luka Garza, the Naismith Player of the Year for Iowa, who's been in the league forever now, is like playing 16 minutes a game, averaging 8 points and like a 5 rebounds. He's having incredible. I think of Grayson.
Little career.
I think of Grayson Allen, and then I immediately think of like guys that were good in college that you didn't think would really work out as NBA prospects, but they just stick around. That guy's just stuck around everywhere.
Okay, so there's the comp. I see the train of thought now.
Like Luka Garza is just always in the league. You know who's like that? Luke Cornett. Remember Luke Cornett for Vanderbilt?
Yeah,
he's like that too.
he is always around.
Always around. All right, we got another story.
We got one more. This is now you don't like flying, so you'll probably hate this story. A California startup is giving would-be spacefarers the chance to reserve their vacation on the moon. It has been 53 years since man set foot on the moon, with another cruise set to launch early this year. While space colonization is still widely considered a pipe dream, one California company getting ahead of the game, and it hopes to make a tidy profit in the process. Galactic Resource Utilization Space, also known as GRU Space. GRU, the villain from the Minions
like
movies.
GRU?
Yeah. Is a tech startup that hopes to build habitable dwellings on the surface of the moon. They have a multi-phase plan. It includes testing inflatable structures in 5 years and eventually flipping them to hotels in 2032.
Jeez.
For $1 million, you can reserve a room on the moon.
This sounds like a scam.
Yeah.
You know what? Everything's already trying to kill you on Earth, you know?
Oh, okay.
Why in the hell would you want to go to space? It's even worse out there. You know?
Well, maybe, there's less, less people, less bothersome.
I'm going to be honest with you. I already got enough problems on this big blue rock.
And don't you want to get away from them?
Hell no.
Go to the moon.
No, I don't want to go on a spaceship. Have you ever seen Apollo 13 or any of the Apollo movies? Everything always goes wrong in space.
Armageddon?
No, thank you.
Nothing goes right?
How does that sound attractive to anybody? Going all the way out to the moon. It's a big rock. Everyone's like, why didn't we go back? Because there was just a bunch of rock. There's nothing on there.
I could work on my golf game.
Right? The Transformers trying to make it interesting by trying to convince you that like there was some alien life forms up there and made a whole movie about it. Other than that, do you know why we haven't been up to the moon? Because it's just a bunch of space rock.
Is there a Megan Fox looking alien up there?
And you know what? Maybe I would go up to the moon then in that regard.
That's right. Just got to find a way to sell it to you. We'll get you there. Don't worry. First radio broadcast on the moon.
No. God, no.
You'd have 100% of the audience, Matt. Think of it.
Would I?
Well, there'd be no competitors.
I'd go all the way up to the moon just to have bad moon takes.
What are we doing with this dark side of the moon?
You know,
anyway?
I'll tell you right now, if you can't find water at the moon, you haven't seen me up there with a golf club. Let me tell you something right now. You give me a driver and a ball, you give me a driver and a Titleist Pro V1, I'll find some water. I'll find it for you. I'll find your resources you're looking for. I'm just saying, all these dummies who are like, why didn't we go back to the moon? There's nothing up there. Nothing.
That's why we got to put stuff up there.
There's zero things up there. And now we're going back to the moon. In my opinion, just to convince everybody, I think NASA's going back. I'm sure, look, I haven't read the reports, but this is the vibe I get because we are going back to the moon.
Oh, you haven't read the NASA report?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I barely read the athletic articles that got released today. I haven't read the NASA reports, but I know we're going back to the moon. All right. I just want to preface this with I'm a dumbass. Okay. But part of me, like maybe they have a legitimate mission and maybe they're trying to actually, do things up there. All right. But I feel like they're just going back up to the moon to shut the damn conspiracy theorists up, because there are legitimate people who don't think we went to the moon.
Sure.
And I
Yeah,
think
idiots.
NASA and Neil deGrasse Tyson and all those people are so like done hearing about it that they're like, all right, jackasses, we're going to go back up to the moon just to show you that we did it the first time.
Okay, that could be something. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm pretty sure, wasn't there a story of like a moon conspiracy theorist went up to Buzz Aldrin and told him he didn't go to the moon? He like punched him in the face.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Do we have? I'm trying to think. What was the last really great space movie we've had?
Oh, good space movie.
Good, because The Martian was killer.
Okay.
Gravity with what that was
Sandy
B.
George Clooney.
That got nominated for Oscars.
It did.
Is Dune a space movie? Or is that a
I'll allow
sci-fi?
it.
You'll
I'll
allow
allow
it? Okay. Dune is a space movie. They very much are in space. Interstellar.
Uh-huh.
I feel like it's been a minute, though, since we've had some.
Had some bad space movies.
Yeah, what was the one with Chris Pine where there's
Star Trek?
No, not Chris Pine. Chris Pratt.
And J-Law?
Yeah.
Passengers?
Yeah. Did you see that one?
I did.
How was it? I've spark notes that movie. I've spark notes that one. I know that he woke up and because something was wrong with the ship, and then he got lonely, so he woke her up, and she got really pissed off about it.
Yeah.
But then I didn't know did they end up fixing the ship?
I don't remember. It's two
Okay.
very attractive people talking.
And Chris Pine looked great in that movie. There was also
Pratt.
the dude, the bartender, Simon. He's in the Mission Impossible movies, ain't he? Or is that a different actor?
Simon Pegg?
Is it Simon Pegg in that movie as the
That's the
bartender?
guy from the Mission Impossible movie.
Yeah, who's also in the Star Trek movies.
Yes.
I think he was in the bartender. He was the bartender in that movie as well. Like I said, Spark Notes, never seen.
It's pretty good spark notes. Yeah, you're correct.
I'm telling you, YouTube Shorts.
No, Michael Sheen is
He's the other
bartender.
English. Yeah, there's too many of those.
They're
guys
fighting
out
for the same role.
Is somebody who gets actors like I get Ethan Hawke and Kevin Bacon confused in my mind of what they look like.
Okay. They look similar.
They look pretty similar.
Sure. I'll allow that.
I appreciate that. We should put a scoreboard on on things that you allow and things you won't allow. I'm trying to think. By the way, I saw the Dead to Us list. We still only have Albert Breer. I've been trying.
That's good, right? I mean,
I'm going to be real with you.
Do we want to be selective about this, or do we just want to kill people willy-nilly?
You know what? That's the bit that we have to decide. But I haven't really been pissed off by anything enough to cancel people.
Probably good.
Like I got. See, here's the thing: if we could know who was running the soundboard at ESPN yesterday for the game, who's the director of sound for the ESPN National Championship? That person would be dead to me.
Dead to us.
Dead to us. ESPN sound person. Don't put that on there.
No.
Don't put it. We got to get legitimate people on. I think that's a good sign, though. I don't have too many people that I hate in my life. I love to talk crap, but I don't hate it.
It's healthy.
It is healthy. It is legitimately healthy. There will be one moment, though, where you remind me of someone I can't stand, and I'll be like, dead to us. We're
Okay,
done.
great.
We are totally done.
So we'll find them.
We'll find them. We'll find them out there somewhere. Just like tomorrow, you'll find a wacky guest for Wacky Guest Wednesday, which I
will.
cannot wait for. We got a text in from Tyler.
Hi, Tyler.
The moon land was the fakest thing in history. Show your work.
That's it.
Show your work. Just show your work. I'll read a moon landing conspiracy theory article. I'm not above it. We went there. We did it. I think you're a fool if you don't think we did. But I'll read about it. I like literature. I read a lot of things. So there you go.
You're
all right.
well read.
I am well read. I went to the College of Journalism and got a good degree. All right.
School.
Coming up next, I don't know what we're going to talk about, but it's going to be fun, and then we'll have what to watch for.
Oh.
And Dog of the Day here on Middays with Matt at 1620 The Zone.
Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Breaking news. Breaking news.
Whoa, okay.
We have a bad Connor Happer take.
Oh, I saw a great Connor
We
Happer
have
take.
we have a terrible Connor Happer take. Sound the alarm. Do we have an alarm?
We don't have
Bad Connor Happer take.
That'll work.
Connor Happer, hailing from West Omaha. I actually don't know where. Well, what? Comes from White Plains, New York, and
That's
then
right.
then hails from Omaha. Tweeted out, chicken bacon ranch is a preposterous flavor combo, and for some reason it keeps getting made. Awful take. Chicken
Great
bacon
take.
ranch is awesome.
No.
You ever have the sandwich at Subway? It's a great sandwich.
Trust me, I've had chicken bacon ranch before. Okay, Midwestern slop a la crap.
They got the club the club sub over at like Jersey Mike's is kind of like a little bit of a chicken bacon ranch type deal. That's an awesome sub. The chicken bacon ranch flavor over at Subway, that's an awesome sub. You guys are out of your mind. Chicken bacon ranch wraps.
Nope.
You can do toasted or you can do cold. You guys are wrong. Incorrect. We have,
You
by the
can
way,
just eat your food without a Midwestern lubricant in it.
I didn't know. Okay, first off, ranch is awesome.
No.
This is where I have to reveal it.
I have an adult palate.
Wow. So I'm a kid because I like ranch. Is that what you're saying?
A little.
Here is oh no. Oh no. Here it is. I got it.
Oh.
I'll show it to the camera. This is, do you see that? Do you see what that says?
Rankings.
Ranch rankings. I have ranked every ranch I've ever eaten in my life.
So does my wife.
Okay.
Let's see if your notes compare.
Wingstop, number 1.
She does love the ranch at Wingstop. Yeah.
Red Robin, number 2.
I don't know how she feels about it.
Lead Belly, number 3.
Oh, interesting.
In Lincoln.
We loved Lead Belly when it was here. In Omaha.
Lead Belly in Lincoln. Number 4, Runza.
Very high on her list.
Number 5, Oscar's Pizza Bar and Grill.
Everything about Oscars is elite.
You know what? I'm mad that I did not get the damn char buffed wings. I was a dummy and got and by the way, it was a great burger that I had, but I didn't know that they were award winning. I should make char buff wings. I should try that.
You should and bring them in.
I would bring them in. I meant to bring you chicken today.
Whoa.
I forgot to. Sorry.
Schmeegs on there?
What's Schmeegs?
Amigos?
No, and then, so that's my top 5. Then my good category is my buddy Ben Wilkie makes really good ranch.
Oh.
DP Dough in Lincoln, Honest Gabe's in Lincoln, McKinney's in Lincoln, B Dubs in Skokie, Illinois, Hidden Valley Ranch from
Wait. The B Dubs in Skokie.
Yes, the B Dubs in Skokie has good ranch. Specifically, the one on Tui has good ranch there.
It is not different than any of the other.
You know what it is?
hundreds of B-Dubs
It's the best.
locations.
So it's the best B Dubs ranch I've had.
Okay.
So I have actually talked to somebody about this. If I go to a B Dubs that has a better ranch, I will make sure to specify. You know, I'm going to be real with you. I haven't updated this as much as I should. There is about 30 ranches on here. Brewski's in Lincoln.
I like that you went deep on this. That you didn't just I'll do a top 5.
No. Brewski's in Lincoln is good, and then Lou Malnati's, but the one on Lincoln Avenue in Illinois, not the one that's
differently.
I'm just
The Good Lou's?
The Good Lou's. Mid Ranches.
Okay.
Are we sponsored by? We're not sponsored by the pizza company that serves at Memorial Stadium, right?
No,
we're not.
No.
So Valentino's is mid.
Okay.
Giordano's, that's another Chicago deep dish pizza place.
I'm familiar.
And then the Brodstop in Kenosha, Wisconsin, mid.
I've been saying that for years, and everyone thinks I'm crazy.
Terrible ones.
Ooh. Here we go.
Wendy's, McDonald's, Buzzard Billy's in Lincoln, and Barry's Bar in Lincoln. Used to have great ranch. Now it's got bad ranch. It's actually last on the list. So I would say I would put the places that I've had ranch recently, Flight Deck here in Omaha, over on like 30th and Douglas.
Okay.
That's in the good category for sure. Have I had more? Oh, the Omaha, the Tap House over by the Mutual of Omaha building. I would put that ahead of Barry's Old Ranch, but below Brewski's Ranch for sure.
Slide it right in.
Yes, Omaha Tap House, and then Yeah, that's it. That's probably the only two ranches I can think of right now. I love ranch. How dare you call it Midwestern lubricant?
I failed to see where I was wrong.
It's incredible. I put it on my pizza. I put ranch on my baked potatoes. I've put ranch in mashed potatoes. I've had mashed potato flavored ranch.
What's wrong with the flavor of a potato and the flavor of pizza?
Because ranch elevates everything. When I go to
it
Wingstop,
overtakes everything.
When I go to Wingstop, I think I have a whole container worth of ranch. Probably 2 containers worth. Dip your fries in there. Ranch is awesome. All right, let's get back to sports here real quick.
I don't know why, but okay.
The Big Ten, by the way, is releasing their schedule finally. That was announced.
Well,
the football schedule for 2026.
One game.
Is it one game?
One game was announced.
What was that one game?
Ohio State at Indiana.
Okay. Big noon kickoff, I take it?
I don't know if a time was given, just a date.
Okay, then who cares? Give me times.
Great.
I don't give a damn.
You've told me nothing.
You've told me 0. Okay, cool. Anyway, it comes out a week from today. And all we know is that Indiana is going to play Ohio State on October 17th.
That's right.
You know, the SEC did this like 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this?
And for like multiple years, right?
Yeah. So dumb. Also, too, so Bill Self released a statement. He was sent to the hospital yesterday because he was feeling under the weather. Self has had some health scares recently as 2023, where he had to have multiple stents put in his heart to clear up some arteries and stuff like that. You know, great coach, Hall of Fame coach, one of the best of all time in college basketball.
Jacques Vaughn will be the interim.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm
I'm sorry if you were going to get to that.
Jacques Vaughn, interim head coach. Bill's self-statement: I'm feeling much better, and I want to thank the well-wishers and the great team at LMH Health. I'll be sitting out tonight's game, and as I've said before, we have an elite coaching staff at KU, and I know our players are in good hands. In Boulder, Jacques Vaughn will serve as the acting head coach tonight. He will rely on our great group of coaches, Jeremy Case, Curtis Townsend, Joe Dooley, and Tony Bland throughout the game to lead the team. Concerning stuff for sure for Bill Self, who, like I mentioned before, the last couple of years have had some health scares, and also too just has not really look. Kansas is Kansas. They made the NCAA tournament last year. They're currently a 5th seed on bracket matrix. They beat the number 2 team in the country last week, right? Like it's not to the standard that we're used to it being. Because the standard that we're used to it being is them being a 1 or 2 seed and competing every single year to get to the Final Four national championship, because that's the power that Bill Self over the last 20 years has built that program to be. And so it has been a little strange that they've been the way that they've been the last 2 seasons. And it's kind of the same thing where it's like they spend a ton of money on the roster, but it just seems like they're disconnected. And this whole Darren Peterson saga of will he play, won't he play, you know, is just another headache that this program has had, because last year the headache was Dickinson and Store, and the fact that it just seemed like that team did not like each other. And so I don't know. We've seen guys like Tony Bennett and Jay Wright and Roy Williams, and then if you're going to football, you know, Nick Saban step down and say, you know what, we're good. You know, this is kind of done. I don't think Bill Self has to prove anything more.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think he has.
Wish him the best. Go be Bill Self.
Go and retire. Go and take care of yourself. Go and be healthy, man.
Yeah.
Like this is scary stuff. Like life, you know, your time on this earth is valuable more than anything. And he has, like I said, been the head coach for, you know, over 20 years now at Kansas, has accomplished everything that you want to accomplish. And, you know, Doug in Idaho has a really good comment here. It goes, yeah, KU was ahead of their time when it came to player compensation, which, you know, is not wrong. At the same time, though, like, you know, I don't think it has so much to do about the fact that, you know, other teams are catching up to Kansas as much, because Kansas is still paying players a ridiculous amount. You know, Kansas is still shelling out cash and making sure that they have the best players available. I think it's just more so that, you know, when you get an overabundance of money involved within a locker room in college with a lot of young men, sometimes you can have some clashing of the heads, and you know, it's money could definitely be a vice that separates a locker room. And I think we just had a story recently of Ole Miss. We got guys transferring out of Ole Miss because they found out that other players are making more money than them, you know? Like, I think that kind of can be the case sometimes. And I don't think that there are stories that are too far away from where I'm broadcasting right now where that has happened at times. And so I think that, Bill Self is a coach from a different era that accomplished everything. And I think he needs to take care of his health. And I think we're probably getting to that point where Kansas might be looking for a new. Now, here's the thing. Kansas absolutely should not. I'm not saying they should get rid of Bill Self or fire Bill Self. That's not what I'm saying. I think Bill Self just probably should. I mean, this is tough, man. To be a coach in that era for as long as he was and to be as successful as he was in that era and then to kind of have to deal with the things he now currently deals with, it's hard. It's hard. And if you don't have to put up with that headache, and I know he's got plenty of money to not have to worry about that anymore, being a head coach for Kansas for as long of time he has, it's very, very lucrative. I think it might be time. Might be time for him to move on.
And I think on the crossover, we nailed it. Jacques Vaughn is going to be the next head coach of Kansas.
Probably will end up being that. So I hope, like I said, this is just one of those things where you've kind of seen it, right? Where last year the team was a mess. This year, it seems like once again the thing that we're talking about Kansas more than anything is not necessarily the basketball being played on the court, but everything else happening around it. And if you don't have to deal with that headache anymore, dude, take care of yourself and don't deal with that headache anymore. That would, that'd probably be, not that Bill Self is listening to Omaha radio wondering what my advice is. But as
I just assumed he was. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But as somebody who, take care of yourself, man. Take care of yourself and get better. And I hope if this is, it would be nice if they had a one last ride for him, though, for sure. Like if you went into a season being like, hey, this is Bill's last year. Because I think from that fan base's
perspective, who's to say he
that.
couldn't, like Monday morning press conference, like,
Maybe.
Hey, we're going to shotgun this thing. You got me for 2 months.
Could do that.
Let's go on a run.
We're going to go to Random Mike, then we're going to go to a break, and we're going to do what to watch for. Random Mike, how are you, buddy?
Yeah, you are a keeper, man.
I'm a keeper?
You are a keeper.
Thank you.
Great interviews. This on the spectrum, that was new on me. Is that
yes, that was Michael Severe dropping that.
But was the point that he's got certain autistic qualities which make him a better coach? Was that what he was talking about?
You know what? I think I don't want to clarify Michael's
he has a particular attention to detail.
Yes. We'll put it that way. Thank you, Josh. I don't want to go I don't want to put words in Michael's mouth and assume, what he was trying to convey there.
But on the spectrum, like you say, it was a new one. I mean, but that's an autism reference, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Without a doubt. Yeah. But autism is for sure it can be a superpower without a doubt.
Yeah, and how old is he? In his 60s?
Curt Cignetti? I think he's 62.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
So he's definitely one of the older coaches in the part of the older coaches.
64.
You don't
64,
care so much what people think.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things too, Mike, though, like, he's had a long time to work up to where he is now. And yesterday, he's seeing him smile and having that relief of saying, we won a national championship at Indiana University. It can't be done was awesome.
I do think Rule ought to hire Matt Verghese, and maybe the talent evaluation would get better.
Tim Verghese, you mean?
Tim.
I think it'd be a great hire. I think Tim is awesome at what he does, and I'm so happy he decides to grace our presence on this show.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think he's perhaps a better evaluator, of talent. But hey, the Creighton game with Georgetown. Did you get a good look at the replays on?
He didn't get it off. He didn't get it off.
You're pretty sure about that?
I'm positive.
Because I understand they did use the Peacock replays.
They did
to show that the red light was not synchronized with the clock.
Was not synchronized. No, it was not.
It was, and that 0.1 second difference made this thing extremely close. And what's the rule there? Does the clock trump the red light?
No, it's the clock. Yeah, the clock trumps the red light.
Do you know how many fingers he had on the ball?
One. He had one finger on the ball.
Okay. So that was pretty clear.
Yeah, it was quick.
Yeah.
Mike, he didn't get it off. It was good. It was a good call.
Okay. Is Creighton? Do they make the tournament?
Probably not. Probably.
That one finger could conceivably make the difference.
Probably, yeah. Appreciate the call,
it's
Mike.
that close.
Yeah, we got to hit this break. I'm running out of time here, but I appreciate
Love
your
you,
call.
man. Bye-bye.
See ya. Random Mike, always the best. We got a 3-minute rule. Mike gets 3 minutes. You get 3 great minutes, Mike. That's more than a lot of people.
The
You get
bone
3
saw
great
rule.
3 minutes, and then we got you. He didn't have his finger. He had his finger on the ball. I don't know. Interesting that he wanted to go back and talk about that. All right, what to watch for with Dog of the Day coming up next.
Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone. Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Our YouTube chat. Poll question: is 3 minutes a long time? 3 minutes is an eternity, in my opinion. In my opinion,
it's a lifetime.
We are replacing. Do you have an opinion? Or I have. Do you have an opinion? I have an opinion. Will be replaced tomorrow by Wacky Guest Wednesday. I'm so pumped, dude. I'm so excited for that. That's gonna be great. It's gonna be a great time. What are we watching tonight, Josh Hudson?
Well, we're watching college basketball. Big night in the Big Ten. A lot of games, at least. Minnesota, Ohio State, 5:30 on BTN. Michigan hosts Indiana on Peacock at 6 o'clock. Undefeated, number 25, Miami of Ohio. Watch them for the first time in your life at Kent State, 6 o'clock on ESPN+. Rutgers takes on Iowa at 7:30 on BTN. 8 o'clock FS1, number 10, Michigan State is out west at Oregon. Got Ranked on Ranked tonight on ESPN at 8 o'clock. Number 15, Vanderbilt at number 20, Arkansas. Number 4, Purdue, also out west, taking on the Bruins of UCLA, 9 o'clock on Peacock. And number 19, Kansas, without Bill Self, at Colorado, 10 o'clock on ESPN. Creighton women host Xavier tonight at 6 on ESPN+. NBA doubleheader, Spurs, Rockets, 7 o'clock on NBC. And at 9 o'clock on Peacock, it's Lakers, Nuggets. NHL doubleheader on TNT, Bruins, Stars at 6:30. And then the New Jersey Devils are in Edmonton to take on the Oilers at 9 o'clock. Going back to that women's game.
Oh, yes. Please.
You will definitely want to watch it on ESPN Plus because it's not available on the radio because it's a home game. Josh Peterson.
Whoa!
And Connor Happer on the call.
Hell yeah.
How fun will that be?
A medium amount of fun.
A medium. Okay. And thank you, Connor. MLB Network, in about an hour, they'll begin announcing the Hall of Fame class of 2026. And on a couple things to watch on Netflix tonight, the series premiere of Star Search. Yes, if you're old enough to remember Star Search, you're probably John Bishop. It airs Tuesday and Wednesday nights. The Revive Talent Competition, hosted by Anthony Anderson, features live performances with real-time voting. Jelly Roll, Sarah Michelle Gellar, and Chrissy Teigen serve as judges. And in more Jelly Roll news, on Netflix, the season 2 premiere of WWE Unreal.
Let's go.
Where it follows the real lives of WWE superstars. This season, we follow the real-life couple of Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, Cody Rhodes, Rhea Ripley, Pat McAfee, and Jelly Roll.
Should be good. Are all episodes of Unreal, have they all been released at once?
That is a great question.
Okay.
I don't know. I think that's the way they did it last year.
If they have, I'm going to watch every episode and we can talk about it off air tomorrow and not on air. Dog of the day. We're 2-4 all time on Dog of the Day. We got robbed again. Charlie Becker, the wide receiver for Indiana, thought he scored a touchdown. He stepped out of bounds at like the 4-yard line. So,
idiot.
Did not cash, but tonight I got a good one. Indiana on the road, taking on Michigan. The spread of that game is plus 15.5. We're going to lower that spread to 11.5, plus 11.5 for the Hoosiers. On the Hoosiers, you can get it at plus 168. Plus 168, Indiana to cover 11.5. Dog of the day with Middays with Matt. I've been Matt McMaster. That's been Josh Odson. It's been a great show. Indiana football national champions. Week from today, we'll know the Big Ten schedules. Bill Self out of office. MLB Hall of Fame gets announced today. It was a great, great time. Thank you so much for joining us, commenting, and texting here on 1620. The Zone. The crossover with USC is up next.